Start recording. Start streaming. Social Orphan Anarchy. 2:35 p.m. 19th of December 2025. Before I even talk, suddenly the air is like peppery, kind of like food, and it's like my lungs hurt. Woke up to somebody like hitting my room from the ceiling, but in a way like as if they were taking a piece of furniture and dropping it instead of the way they were doing it before. Saving files. My mouse on my computer not working until I restarted the computer itself. Now it's fine again. Uh, but yeah, it makes it feel like somebody's like fucking with my computer, fucking with my stuff. That smell is like overwhelming. I'm also really hungry. Might as well make food. uh, they're talking about Epstein again today. Frustrated by the situation. Feels like a cover story for every abuse that has ever taken place. The possibility that they deliberately went around, shook hands, and connected themselves with everyone in power. And this was just a way to, like, well, it's a two-part thing. A way to, like, control the powerful, like, own everybody in power, celebrities, politicians, whatever. It should not be hard to talk right now. And then also like a sick joke where like they don't care. As if they had weirdly made their own club. The joke is that you don't know them. Kit, why don't you start your own little mini SGA, People's United Nations, and do like little experiments? Like, why don't you and your friends go off in the woods and start your own society over again? And we'll watch you and take notes. And then just whatever you're doing good, maybe we'll do that. Like, yeah, go, and it's just making yourself useful to some kind of fucking empire you didn't realize was like that bad off. Because they couldn't care less. But on the dehumidifier, that might help. Um, and then there's the George Lucas example. Like, are you really gonna give that much of a shit now that you know anybody's name could show up? Um, they have nothing to do with anything. All they had, someone mentioning a person in a court case saying, "Did you meet this person before?" And them responding, "No." And now their name is in the documents. Like, that's where it becomes like a sick joke that you were so. Where's a good TikTok? That guy that just did the rap. I don't know if I'll find it exactly. Um, it should not be hard to talk right now. Um, this guy did a rap about Epstein. I need like watch history. It'll be easier to find it on my phone. Hold on a second. But, you know, people are really invested. Like, this is the thing that's gonna hold power accountable. They're like, and it just feels kind of like empty.
Jim tapped his line.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, let's all get really invested in this. Like, it's the only thing on earth. And then what? I'm gonna fucking destroy the fuckers that are hurting me. Oh my god. Yeah, right. I mean, that's also indoctrination. Like, put you through this shit so that by the time it's over, you're gonna want to fucking rip somebody's head off. The guy's talking about the floods. Here, found it. Cure for paranoia.
Files, and I don't want nobody around that vote against pointing out the pedophiles. Holy shit, what are we talking about? Am I fingers crossed as I'm writing this down. Whether around Trump's in a hospital gown. Now I don't want no gifts for Christmas. All I want is to open them files. And I don't want nobody around that vote against pointing out the pedophiles. Holy shit, what are we talking about? Am I going crazier than I am now? You know how badly a nigga would have to want nobody reading them names. Going to randomly get up one day and go, fuck it, okay, let's start the Hunger Games. I can't imagine what someone outside of this county is saying about our administration. Vanity Fair is the only time niggas complaining about other folks body shaming. Quiet piggy is okay if the president said you niggas should all be in jail. I used to think that this was a relation, but really it's been given Handmaid's Tale. Happy holidays, and may the odds be ever in your favor. Tell me you now that every single goddamn name in them files, unredacted, don't scratch no shit out. I just saw like an hour looking.
So there's that. And it's like, that's a pretty good song. But, like I just said, you know, this is a reason why some of the names are in the files. They could have like every single person that has lived since, list of every powerful person alive in 2025. And, I mean, they could have just asked their name and they'd be there. It doesn't matter. Like, yeah, and what if you're, I mean, is this also like a weird training job fair? Like, if you worked in the FBI and you wanted to find the smartest breast and bitest, the breast and bitest, great, the best and brightest of like the population, if that had been the goal anyway. Yeah. um I don't know, they gave me a lot of brain damage and hurt me if someone who was trying to find smart people. That doesn't really seem to. Oh my god. Anyway, But yeah, and people that are like would be a good judge of character, and like would have like a good, they have like an intuitive sense. Because I mean, like, yeah, almost like a scientific sense when it comes to the law. I mean, that would have been like a desirable thing, even if you did all this shit in the worst fucking way. Um, because you can't have guilty by association. Um, somebody, they can invite somebody to their fucking house, have them swim in their pool, take pictures of them on purpose, and now like, did they commit a crime or not? Has any, like, Bill Clinton keeps coming up today? Has anyone accused Bill Clinton of exploiting minors? But they were, yeah, there's also that. They're gonna rape adult women, like people in general, raping adult women, committing murder, doing all sorts of war crime shit. And it's like just setting some standard that, well, at least they're not pedophiles. But yeah, and that's, I mean, Hassan just said it 5 minutes ago, um, but in a different way. Like Trump saying that he was going to protect Americans. And then Hassan was like, yeah, unless those Americans are girls that were being fucked with by Epstein. Like, there's some double standard bullshit going on. Yeah, they definitely never thought about this. And now it's like at least a third of the world is about. It's like before these people are, you're gonna hate pedophiles to the point you'd be willing to kill somebody, like, or else is also like, okay, in some ways, like, right, it's like the ultimate mental trap for somebody that gives a shit because you don't want to kill anybody, but right, it's like militarizing everyone then, because at some point someone's gonna make you try to prove how much you like hate pedophiles or something. And the only like logical if they disappeared, I wouldn't cry about it. Is kind of like, but did you prove they actually like fucked with a kid? I mean, and then, oh, why don't you develop a test? And then we can make everybody go through this stupid fucking test, and then that way we also tag the population like they're just birds in the landscape, and you're gonna put a fucking like ring around their ankle. All of that shit is like incredibly, yep, just 21st century controlling the general population shit, and has nothing to do with pedophiles even. They just want an excuse. Yeah, it's something about getting to know you. Yeah, right. Like, uh-huh, you imagine somebody goes, they take over an entire country this way, like, huh. I had a really good list about. Yeah, the thing with the years on it. Where is that? Damn it. It must be. Please be there because it took a long time. Okay. Um, the coexisting generations alive right now. How many of them have so much power? It's absurd. And you have to think of it from like all over the world. And this motherfucker from 1946 or whatever is like, in my day, 13-year-old was an adult. And like, they fucked up in ways that there was no words for. And almost like in a weird effort to redeem themselves, to have some kind of trying to like secure a legacy where they're not just gonna be ew. Like, and I think a lot of things are gonna just be ew. And again, all around the world, there's still places today where like straight up child marriage is legal. "34 states, they just want parental." I mean, in the US, that's have no defined minimum age. Really, California? Okay. Ugh. You don't think California is the most progressive place on earth? Well, I mean, in some sense, it would really catch your shitty parents. What kind of fucking parent is gonna 15 to 17? A proof of pregnancy. Kids, they're not, well, young people will have sex, like with each other, and shit can happen, but that does not mean it's like, there's such a big difference between, oh, we set our kids up when they were 13. They did it on purpose. Like, ban marriage, people under 18 with no exceptions. I mean, the idea that you'd even like, okay, guys, as long as they're 18, it seems like that's not really what you wanted to teach people, but. Well, can you just like hop off until someone's even had a life? However long that would take. I don't know. Like, so it's almost like the wrong way to have this conversation. Um, I guess I'm worried about people that are like literally, yeah, just trying to get somebody else married and have a baby and do some weird shit like as quickly as possible. They've never even cared about their education or what else they would do, or they just saw you as like a baby maker. Well, the people should be given a chance to see the fucking world and meet people from around the world. It's not even like. Sure. Are you trying to like shape? Well, who is gonna be stalking me and then upset that I would think that you should have like somebody that they got married when they were like 18 and now they like feel bad about it and then they're somehow taking it out on you? Like, that's some Looney Tunes bullshit. Internationally, 18 is the usual minimum permitted. Child marriage is permitted in 117 countries, but still with parental consent. Sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, Saudi Arabia, South Sudan, Yemen. But Saudi Arabia recently updated a law. And again, this is like about who's alive today. What the bullshit. Like, on their way out, trying to somehow secure a different legacy. They know that times have changed and they look really bad. And yeah, you got stuck in their fucking dimension and dementia. Like, I just, how else would you put it? That's a thought process that's not coming from me. Somebody wants you to think about the school you went to, and if somebody, were they trying to make you guys stay together the rest of your lives or something? Because that high school sweetheart story, that does happen for some people. At least it's not like a 40-year-old man and a 13-year-old girl. Like, you know, the people the same age, like. All right, there goes that judgmental, you can't talk about my life. Oh my god, whatever. I don't want your life. I don't want kids that get forced into your life. That's more what I'm trying to say either, too. Yeah, I'm also not calling out the specific person because it isn't my place to do that. Feels like more of a goddamn scam that way too, anyway. I was gonna be there to bitch about this, and then what? Someone in high school went out of their way to tell me they were raped. And then they married the guy. That's what. So. And as like some kind of human rights advocate, what you're supposed to essentially discredit their ability to think for themselves. Like, they couldn't have made a decision. They were too young. Somebody coerced them into like getting married, or how could you just said how could they have known better? They never got to see the world first. But then it's like talking to this adult, telling them that their life is bullshit. and that they should have seen themselves as a victim. I don't feel like that's my place to tell you whether you're a victim or not. Like, if you didn't think so already, you know, you can encourage, like, yeah, it's nice to hear you're right, someone fucked with you really bad when you feel fucked with, but to have somebody be like, mm-hmm. You know what, it actually sounds a lot like religious shit too. The fine line between, like, hey, you're being manipulated, and I know it's like your whole family friend community group, but just so you know, and someone that would like come to you and be like they're fucking with them and then be supportive after the fact. They must have been doing something in my sleep to make my fucking voice all fucked up. I was better when I went to sleep. Hold on. Oh, that's the video of sleeping. I picked the right video, right, to upload. That would be incredibly annoying. 12, 19, 3, 4, 5, 40. Yeah, that's the right one. Is what I sounded like before I went to sleep 5 hours ago. Like, come on, say something. Maybe, like. I mean, I would have never beaten the shit out of you to like have that specific space. So, like, yeah. You know, it's just like, oh, someone's here. I'll try, you know, like. Would have worked out fine. Everybody would have been all, yeah, social justice warriors, full of love and cannabis and music. Oh my god, just like enjoying being alive or something. Oh no! How dare you? Ugh, bad cranberry. I can't quite identify what it is that it tastes like, just like terrible. Anyway. Well, yeah, the idea, like, what are people invested in? What is their sense of nostalgia? What raised this fucker? Why are they like this? Like, well, they were in their 20s in this time period. In their 30s, like, that feels like at least you have something to go on. When somebody says that they're like a 90s kid, yeah, but you're like a 2000s teenager. I mean, it's not like It's like people from they were in their 20s in the 90s had a different experience than somebody that was like a little kid watching Rugrats. You know, so yes, a kid watching Rugrats versus somebody going to like a Nirvana concert, culminating in a roommate I had in high school that said their mom was pregnant at a Nirvana concert with them, and so they felt like they were spiritually married to Kurt Cobain. My parents were, yeah, 1956 and 1959. Like they were born around between here and here. So they were like little kids, early teenagers, teenagers to 20s, 20s to 30s. They were getting old in the 90s, you know, in this like fucked up dimension where people think 40s is old. It'd be nice if you stopped doing that to people. Like, clearly they're not really old yet. Like, I mean, too old
like
for
into your
high
50s,
school, you're not really that old. Yeah, maybe so much of this is like you just defined what a teenager was kind of in the 60s, and they can't get a grip on like being like a youthful adult with, and like you stay out of the fucking high school, but you have your own sort of like, just the same way as you did in high school, you have your own like age group bubble in your 40s and your 50s and your 60s. I don't know. And they just like having a hard time because there was no language or known culture around, and so people revert to high school or something. I don't know. Trying to psychologize the. Yeah, I definitely spoke better just like a couple hours ago. It feels like my upper respiratory is like waterlogged. I feel like 60s you see signs of aging usually, but like people get, look what fucking, yeah, Jenner just did to her face. Like, with money and whatever perfect, if it's even real, right? Like, money and makeup artists and diet and like, how old do you think she fucking is? I have no idea. Like, Cher is another example. I don't think she's had that much cosmetic surgery. It'd be cool if she says she didn't have any. No, significant. And they can keep it. I guess I might as well. I don't remember the age gap. Um, age gap between, and it's like, you know, these people are put on display and then you can talk about them, and that's kind of fucked up in its own cultural sense. Cher and boyfriend. They're like 40 years. I mean, he's definitely an adult. He's almost 40. She's almost 80. I mean, he's solidly an adult. That, get your fucking engine away from me. People out, I'm being stalked, and then they run their motors and their engines and their bullshit. Like, you people are psychopaths. And I'm sick of the story you're trying to construct around me. Yeah, like let if anything else, someone deliberately tried to construct a fake story around my life. Okay, get a clue. Cause all it's gonna do is like trick people. Fuck off. So yeah, and like you're not there to say that this is right. They're an adult. They are not like out there trying to fuck a kid in high school. Now, if Cher had kept this man in a basement and waited until they were, I got disconnected. That is, yeah, very concerning. I'll wait and say the same thing I was going to say anyway. And then you record that something dropped my internet out of nowhere. Reconnected. So, like I was saying, what's the point of interrupting me? If I'm not saying she did, of course not. If she had, or if somebody her age had kept this guy in a basement, waited until they were 40, so that they had like designed a boyfriend or a partner, whether they were, yeah, who else is 79? People who are, so I can have like a gender example, 80 with a 40-year-old partner. I only need one other person to Patti LaBelle, Cher. They both dated this guy. That's kind of funny. Is it De Niro? How old is? Hold on, just curious. I don't normally follow celebrity shit. I don't pick through your gum or trash can to find your gum. That's all fucking weird shit to me. No. I don't know why it said that then. It was just confusing. Yeah, realizing you can't see the screen unless I make it real way bigger too. Ugh. Patti LaBelle and age gap partners. 71 and 41. 81 and 51. Yeah, they're still definitely just, they're adults. Like, as if, like, you need to see age in some kind of graph. Like, there's a tipping point. And then again, like what I'm trying to articulate, it's that would only be like really fucked up if they kept him in a basement. Like, you met organically, you liked each other organically. Who's anybody that, like, they're not a kid. 82 and they don't know how old she is. Okay. Whether she's 45 or 46. Seriously? We just think this topic is spicy and that's funny to us, and you're not going to talk about capitalism or Black Lives Matter or any of this other, or fucking the military takeover of the planet. No, or COVID. You're going to bitch about whether someone's fucking somebody too young than them. Like, waste of your goddamn time. Is that what's supposed to be so fucking funny? She's like 35 years younger. Cher's was how many? 40? So, I mean, just, I guess, to have an example. De Niro and Chen and Cher and Edwards. The only reason this would be fucked up is if they had kept them in a basement and like groomed them to be in love, which like why there's nothing I've ever heard that says they did that. But some other adult, you know, somewhere in the world could have possibly done some shit like that, and that like keeping a Barbie doll in a box. And that's incredibly fucked up, you know. And they just waited for you to turn 30, but had watched you your whole life. That would be fucked. And what, no one's gonna care about that the same way, because they don't have like an understanding of how fucked up that is. Finish my thought. You know, a lot of people, they can't. You don't just get it done once and then you're removed ribs. Oh, that she denied doing that. Okay, why? Oh yeah, leave my boobs alone. I like them just the way they are. I don't want any less and I don't want any more. Like, especially artificially. Leave my boobs alone. Well, I see her as somebody that, like, yeah, aged well. She's still cool and super with it and, like, really attractive. Like, I mean, for what you can see from a camera, right? I mean, well, Cher, like, stood for something, yeah, that I cared about. Progressive music icon, there's always status. The Gian lady, and then some sense, who cares what you look like? She did whatever the fuck she wanted. Like, that's what you want. You just want to be able to do whatever the fuck you wanted. She's the oldest recorded person ever. Because I'm gonna get off topic if I keep. So, rains, sounds. Yeah, I do not pick the topic of the day. Are you, like, you know, you just, what are we talking about today? Epstein shit again.
Of Jeffrey Epstein, and that's the stage we were at 2 hours ago. It's the stage we are at right now, 2 hours in, as we search for more clues as to the significance of the Epstein story and, as I said before, the significance of others who were involved to a degree with them. Many of them, I stress, innocently lured into his company.
James, thank you so much. Let's bring in Nima Rahmani, a former federal prosecutor I was talking to around about 20 minutes ago, who's still with us. Nima, thank you for staying back. Let's just pick up on that point that James quoted there with Chuck Schumer, the Senate minority leader, obviously a prominent Democrat, saying simply releasing a mountain of blacked out pages violates the spirit of transparency.
What does Clinton have to lose at this point? I mean, are you kidding me? He's a former... Oh, fuck. I moved my head too fast. He's the former president of the United States. You don't get to that position of power. Even if they out him, even if they fucking out him, they're not... It's not happening, okay? It's just not happening. Yeah, my Kirk acting up. There's no way. I mean, I would be shocked if he even...
Let's be clear. There's really only one category of information that's
like I just assume that it'll be something along the lines of like it was known that I did not know what he was up to or something, and I involved myself with this bad person or something.
So if we're talking about grand jury transcripts, those should not be redacted. And this shouldn't be a Friday afternoon dump. And we all know that when you want to bury bad news, you bury it on a Friday afternoon of partial individuals, right? Obviously, we know that Bill Clinton is no friend of President Trump. Why are we not seeing all the images? And frankly, these images are not what I'm expecting to see. I'm expecting to see FBI interview memoranda, the 402. Why aren't we seeing those memos? Why aren't we seeing the terabytes of video evidence that we saw discussed in the Ghislaine Maxwell case, in the Virginia Giuffre civil lawsuit? That should all be disclosed. Pictures are not enough. There is much more information in the Epstein files than these pictures that we're seeing and these documents that are redacted. I think this is just a partial production. And again, I think a judge will probably ultimately have to get involved at Congress's urging to force the Department of Justice's hand to make everything public without any more redactions than necessary.
Because let me just finish off, Nima, by asking you about the privacy notice that greets you when you go onto the Department of Justice website to search through the Epstein library. They're covering themselves by saying, because of the volume of information involved, this website may nevertheless contain information that inadvertently includes non-public, personally identifiable information or other sensitive content. What they're really saying there is, we've tried to redact this and we might not have redacted the right things.
But they've redacted a lot, and they said there's 1,200 victims and family members. So, yeah, obviously, I'm sensitive to victims of sex abuse. I don't want them outed or identified if they don't want to be. But I find it hard to believe that hundreds and hundreds and thousands of pages that are fully redacted all contain information about victims, and only information about victims. It defies logic and common sense. You know, I've participated as a young lawyer in these types of document reviews and discovery, and I've redacted information that's confidential, that's privileged. This level of redaction is very significant. Again, you're talking about images, some of which only have a picture of Jeffrey Epstein.
Yes.
Again, it's possible that these are all victims of sex abuse or child pornography. I accept that. But this level of redaction, with the production not being complete, with so far me seeing nothing about the president, and I don't necessarily think the president had anything to do with any of this sex abuse. He may not have even had knowledge of this, but at a minimum, I think we can all accept that he was a friend of Jeffrey Epstein. So,
Nima Rahmani, appreciate your time this evening. We're going to bring in Yasmin
Bro,
Raya
the craziest thing is if they actually are able to successfully unredact some of this stuff, and it's just all Trump. It's like Trump, Steve Bannon, Trump, Steve Bannon, Trump. That would be fucking insane. That would destroy him, okay? Like, that is, if they just so brazenly took out just Donald Trump and just Steve Bannon, and we somehow, by way of whistleblower or by something along those lines, like, it would be fucking insane. Efendim baba. Evet. Kai, you're not going on a walk yet.
Missing that deadline is it's unfortunately in line with what the expectation was.
Well, let me just come back on that, because are you saying then they've been rushing to redact
wouldn't. It's a call. No, dude, come on. This shit's already pissing people off. The more they play this slow roll bullshit, the worse it gets, I think.
That's certainly what it looks like it may be. And the very text of the
he brings out the massage gun thing, and it's like, in my mind, hey Laura, why don't you talk about people being predators around you when you use a fucking vibrator? And then essentially, like, sexually harassing you because you use a vibrator. Yeah, there's that thought process. The idea you're not gonna give a shit about me because I'm like 30, I'm gonna be 36 next week. You don't give a shit about me because I don't have a harder story about something horrible happening to me, like a more obvious. You don't give a shit about me because maybe you didn't want to. And then it's like, okay, they don't give a shit about you. What about like a laundry list of scandals that happened with stuff associated? They don't care about that either. And I mean, on a long enough timeline, that's why it comes to, like, I think there's just all of this shit that happened. And this is like a cover for 100,000 crimes. And we're never going to talk about this stuff again. Why aren't there victims constantly coming out saying like something fucked up happened to them? In any situation, the gymnastics team, the Air Force, high schools, religious organizations, cults, Boy Scouts, the Air Force, the UN, everything. And then that's just here, you know, you got all over the world, prisoner abuse, gas facilitated rapes, sex rings, children's homes, camps, brothels. I mean, even if it happened years ago, like, those people are still alive. What, you just don't care because they're old? And it's like, none of this shit is ever going to see the light of day. They're just going to talk about Epstein. And there's something really fucking weird about that. Yeah, that I haven't been able to completely put into words yet. Like, yeah, again, like, something to some, it's like a joke to people. Yeah, and you're not going to talk about other related concepts like child slavery and forced labor. They're making my room smell like garbage. Oh my fucking god. They want you to scream and throw something out the window at them. I'm being harassed in my own home. Yeah, again, they want you to want to kill somebody, I guess. And, like, I want an asteroid to hit you. Leave me the fuck alone, you fucking freak. I mean, it makes it seem like people intend on using sex as a method of coercion if they're just not going to actually address anything. They don't want to ruin the Boy Scout brand. Like, what are you fucking doing? Some shit.
As a white hat pedophile, he was actually just a victim, simply. My brother in Christ, was that the Pope? Yes.
Of course it was. What else? Like, on a personal level, this, like, weird... It's like people try to insinuate that my dad was a pedophile. I don't have a memory of him directly, like, hurting me that way. There was, like, 2 really awkward moments that might just, like, really awkward moments. It's not like, they're not, yeah, happy memories. But, I mean, could be easily chalked up as, like, just awkward, and then someone deliberately amplifying them because they wanted, like, my sister's husband directly called my dad a pedophile once, and I yelled "fuck you" at them, like, not even really connecting about the pedophile thing. Like, I think I was like 13, 14 years old. Didn't really understand what it was. Like, just like, it's like you called my dad a loser or something. Like, I knew it was like a bad thing. And then my sister rushing in to, like, tell me not to say fuck you to her husband. And I would bet you fucking anything, my sister got her husband to call my dad a pedophile. And that was the only time it ever was said. And, like, no one ever... I mean, if they really thought that, why wouldn't they try to talk to me about it? Like, as a human. It's like you just yelled this at me once and then never brought it up again. You didn't say, like, did your dad fuck with you? Or, like, here, we have this evidence that your dad is fucked up. It never came up again. I'm also just, like, realizing that now while I'm saying, like, you know, if you had a genuine concern for my well-being, it never came up again. Yeah, like, as if that came out of you, because, I mean, you married my sister when she was 19, right, bro? How old are you? Like 10 years older than her? Right? Right. I mean, like, hello. Oh, but that's legal. She was like 19 when they got married, right? I don't know when they met. And then my sister had hurt me when I was a little kid. Though I would chalk that up to more like, yeah, a level of child abuse by another child. And, like, she was like a teenage... She knew what she was doing. She bent me over naked on the porch and sprayed me with a power hose on full blast. I remember it happening more than once. And she admitted to at least one time, saying she was late for a date, that I had pissed myself in the pool or something. And she's just a bitch. Like... How old she like something like she was like 15 maybe, I guess, then. It's weird, it's hard to pin down her age, like. But, like, so that all becomes really, like, she hurt me when she was a kid. Then she got married really young. She never liked my dad. But, yeah, there's also this feeling, my dad didn't advocate for himself. Like, you know, people needed to speak for themselves. Why are you leaving me in this, like, weird interpretive space where I'm supposed come up with a story about people that I couldn't really know? I grew up at a fucking school. Hold on.
Everything except for the one photo that he's in that they forgot to redact.
Oh. Yeah, whatever. I don't give a fuck about a guy in a dress. That's kind of fun, actually. So anyway, and then what shit that happened while I was at MHS? That, like, I mean, okay, you're writing like a sci-fi, alright, so I have freedom to say whatever I want. I'm not saying that that's what happened. But in some sci-fi alternate history, did you get me sick on purpose? Knowing COVID was gonna happen? And did these incidents with teachers and students, was that on purpose? I just happened to be in those classes with the other kids. I could have been in any other fucking class. It happened to be in classes I was in. Like, the one girl, her telling me that she got raped. And then she married the guy. Like, yeah, it makes it personal as hell. It's not like I just went to high school and it was some random other kid and you never had a fucking interaction. My room is smelling like garbage. Like, they deliberately, like, gassing my fucking apartment with trash. I'm not trash, you're fucking trash. And I'm not, like, fuck this entire concept of calling people trash. Send a giant mass email again. And then, yeah, seriously, who the fuck, some actual pedophile is, like, killing you because they hate themselves? Get a life, freak. I was never gonna be a champion for people that wanted to fuck with kids. Man, you need some therapy or something, dude, like, or a lady, you know, like, oh man. But no, you fuck with me or my kids or my friends. I don't care if you go missing. Fucking assholes. I literally can't breathe.
Have to take legal action if the Trump administration continues to stonewall, continues to not provide us full transcripts, and clearly they don't have a real interest in transparency. The searchable bar that they've included that's supposed to be searchable for the public is not even functioning correctly. And so this is not a real release. This is continuing a cover that's been going on now for months.
Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia of California, thank you so much. Appreciate it, sir. We're just a few hours away from President Trump speaking in the key battleground state of North Carolina. He's already hinted that the economy is going to be a focus of his remarks tonight. Is it going to be the same message Americans heard from the president at the White House earlier this week? Our panel weighs in. Stay with us.
Your sisters are running early.
Early? This headache.
We've got an hour.
Interesting. I'm reading through the Ghislaine Maxwell's habeas petition. There's some fascinating stuff in there. The most interesting to me, Maxwell claims that Jeffrey Epstein's victims' lawyers reached secret settlements with 25 men. Oh my God, that same number is what Thomas Massie talked about too. Who are these people? This is also really odd. Apparently, trial victim Carolyn Andrano's mother signed an affidavit saying she was coerced into giving evidence. Having seen Andriano's testimony, I find that hard to believe. Take a look, y'all. Black large square. Yeah, basically. Hey, yo, check this out. All fucking black squares. Oh, man. Crazy amounts of information here. Wow, they really done did it this time, boys. They really done did it this time, boys. You already know. Take a look at this. Yeah, there was some really fucked up stuff in there too, by the way. This is the one that was the most fucked up. This is where Jeffrey Epstein's racism potentially saves a Brazilian underage victim from being raped. Like literally, this is one of the most insane things I've ever read. Straight up. Yeah, very extremely rare racism W, I guess, but we read it earlier today. Friends of and we don't know if like the we know that the victim is not identified here, but there is also some other information here that's redacted that leads me to believe that it might not have been just victims that are redacted here, but other affiliates, like people who are who should have been criminally charged, but were separately not charged. But yeah, he goes, friends of redacted friends, big Brazilian group, Dominican, darker skinned, looks Amazonian, brought towards end, desperate times, maybe 1 to 2 years older, not sure, desperate time running out of girls, friends with bleep, boyfriend's friends. Jeffrey Epstein didn't want Spanish or dark girl, go in, wait in room. Roommate doesn't know if took her or not. Not happy with her. Brought her up when they came down because he was not happy with her. Redacted says, I don't know what happened. Jeffrey Epstein, what doing? Why bringing me dark girl? Bringing young girl. Yeah, but not dark. Told her he just wasn't into her. Doesn't remember if he paid. Redacted because he wasn't happy. Jeffrey Epstein paid her. At one point, Redacted witnessed them asking to ID girl, wanted make sure under 18 because he wasn't believing them because Redacted messed up by bringing more older girls.
What? I'm triggered again because like the husband, my sister's husband was Brazilian. Does that fucking mean anything? So what? They could have been any fucking buddy from any fucking where. Does it matter that they were Brazilian? So they happen to be talking about someone Brazilian all of a sudden. I mean, she fucked with me. I'm Jewish and she's not. That's like the only difference between us. Has a different dad. Am I supposed to see him as a predator? Her husband? It's like, you're both kind of fucked up. I mean, her husband never fucked with me, right? Like, he was like never there. Yeah, so I don't know. There was another thought there, and it like... Oh, yeah, there's more shit to say about, like, my dad. There was her husband saying something. Then in 10th grade, they put me in a room with 2 other kids, so it was like a triple. And the 2 girls said that I was talking in my sleep. and that I had said, like, stop, no, Dad, get off my bed. They told me at lunch, as if to have, like, the whole cafeteria gauge my reaction or something. Is something incredibly, like, warped. Were you supposed to eventually think your dad must be a creep? I wondered if somebody fucked with me before I could remember, like, before 1994. That smell is gone, by the way. Suddenly. Before 1994, nobody, admitted to anything. They acted really weird when I asked. There's a memory of my sister pushing that I was like the Coppertone baby when I was really little. And yeah, but that was something about tanning, wasn't it? Not like my butt. My family called me like N-word knees. My family, my gram, mostly, yeah, who died in 1999. Yeah, well, a happy bunch of memories, not. Yeah, sometimes I think this is about, yeah, just some kind of like political theater shit. And then eventually developing like, again, like a COINTELPRO level of getting up everybody's asshole. There's, more than it was like, oh, here's somebody that was fucked with, we're gonna care about them. And make it never happen again. Like, if that had been the line of thought, wouldn't everything be kind of different? Why the fuck would someone have held me hostage in my own apartment? There's some idea floating around in my head about people trying to make themselves American, and then they, like, yeah, like a 70s, the movie Dazed and Confused. And then people getting really confused. The one character says, you know, isn't it great? The girls are young and he stays the same, or he gets older but they stay the same age, or some gross, like, it's a character. It's not like he meant it like a person, but I don't know if people took that out of context and then became like super creeps because they saw this guy in a movie say it and they thought it made it like okay. The Laurie Maddox thing. Yeah, that stretches back into like the 70s. The image of like a bunch of guys, ew. Yeah, Lolita itself being like, when was that shit written? And it was never supposed to be like a good story. In 1955. Right, and then also turning women into like weird little military units, like V for Vendetta, yeah. I've never read this and I don't want to. I would, like, you know, you never burn something in the library, but You give me a headache, yeah. Unreliable, manipulative voice, designed to shock and challenge. So, yeah, some idiot reading this and thought it was like, yeah, just like fucking, what's his name, Machiavelli. Also was supposed to be like a satire, not like a guide to what to do. But yeah, guys getting the wrong impression, girls getting the wrong impression, the wrong things being emphasized and made okay, no one correcting them, and then like setting a new standard. And you're just really mad that the new standard makes you look like an asshole. And now it smells like garbage again. Just on and off. Like, as if someone is like opening and closing a dumpster. I don't see how hurting me does anything for anybody else. You're just like proving that you're psychopaths. Like, but yeah, the weird way that the concept got like in the background. There was somebody in college that showed me the fucking movie Little Children. I thought they wanted to fuck me. Like, the adult scene in the movie, and apparently they wanted you to focus on this sad-ass character that you don't even have validation of whether they're a pedophile or not. Like, that's the whole joke or something. They're just gonna, like, distract people with something they can't even know for sure. Like... Well, I mean, it has, like, been, like, what is with my dad? What is with anybody else? Yeah, somebody having a magazine that was, like, what is that stupid thing? American Apparel. Okay, and it was like pretty much like the same shit that they used to do. Yeah, where it was just like specifically a certain kind of body type, regardless of their age. And then, well, I mean, and then you get this problem where, like, in a super conservative world, as if, like, you're not allowed to have a sexuality. You can have a sexuality. You can use your body. Like, how are you're, like, not letting people even use their fucking body. Like the goddamn, ribbon dancers and stuff. Yeah, really, what, they have to dress like this in order to do these? Like... Yeah, you not being allowed to have the full function of your muscles and flexibility, and because you're being sexualized instead of like, oh, look at the cool human doing like gymnastics. Yeah, the line between like dance and then making somebody dance for you. What, dance and exploitation? Memories of how many times we saw the movie Little Miss Sunshine. And I mean, even like the girl's body weight being like focused on. Yeah, it's the pageantry shit, creep show. But the family like goes through with it, right? They don't like really. The movie critiques the culture, but the family in the movie doesn't really. They just want their kid to have a win. As if it's supposed to boost her self-esteem. Right, a woke family would have been like, all this shit is creep shit, and we're gonna go do something else. Like, and not even have her go through with the... I guess she wanted to as part of the character. I've seen this movie way too many times. They took us to, like, the theater to see it. Like... So, you know, like, yeah, just... It used to feel more meaningful. Now it feels, like, fucked up. I liked his character, yeah. Now my mouth tastes like soap. I guess it's better than trash. Yeah, we fucking harassed you for 5 years because we are literally building a fake, like, story around your life. And now your story is about how you got harassed for 5 years. For what purpose, asshole? Like... That is psychological warfare shit. I feel like there's stuff I didn't say. I, like, skipped over it. I'll get back to it.
Figure out what is going on. He goes, okay, so I got on Air Force One. I was like, good for you, baby. He's like, okay, so I need you to close out the AmFest, and I need you to do the staff meeting afterwards. And I was like, excuse me? He's like, yeah, you're closing out AmFest. And I was like, I am not closing out AmFest. He's like, yes, you are. And I said, what am I supposed to say? And he goes, you'll figure it out. That's why I married you. I was like, you always say that to me. Whenever we're in a position where we won't, like, there's no script, there's nothing. He's like, baby, you'll figure it out. That's why I married you. So again, here we are. Right. So now we're opening AmFest.
Charlie Kirk was that much of a clout shark that he left his own fucking festival just to be around Donald Trump for extra long? She just outed him. She just basically said, yeah, Charlie didn't give a fuck about AmFest for the opportunity to be on Air Force One with Donald Trump. He just basically dumped all of the responsibility to me, his wife, someone who was, you know, with someone with no prior knowledge that she was supposed to be closing out this fucking incredibly important event. The most important event of the important event. Sorry, BRB. Gotta go. Donald Trump wants me to be on Air Force One. It never happened. I could totally see it happening.
But what's so interesting, and what I have learned so much within these past 3 months, again, the enemy, but he will never win. We know we're on the winning side. God is so good. So Charlie loved to share AmFest stats, so that's what we're gonna do really quick. He would love for you.
Not always, but often. All this God shit is somebody that needed to be saved for some reason. Don't forget that.
4% are female attendees. Okay. We have 40 breakout
That's
sessions,
crazy.
178 sponsors, all 50 states represented. We have 25 countries represented plus Puerto Rico, but I have the list here. Don't worry, guys. Egypt is not on the list. Don't worry about that. But,
Wow, she's so funny.
oh, how funny. I say Egypt and my iPad turns on. That's fun. Where were we? Okay. So anyways, the past 3 months I have learned a lot. You learn very quickly who is ready to go to war with you. You learn very quickly who thinks emotionally versus logically when you go through something as horrible that not only myself went through, but every single one of you in here that loved my husband. You find out who stays with you, who leaves. You find out a lot. You find out who's going to pray with you.
Who would have never known you existed if your husband hadn't gotten shot in the neck in front of a whole bunch of people?
Good hug for you. I'll even touch the back of your head. But I love you guys. But here's what I've learned the most in these past 3 months.
What?
Is that my husband, he deeply mattered on a multitude of levels. So much so that it proved even more once he was assassinated how much of a peacemaker he was and how much of a coalition builder he was. Because when he was assassinated, we saw infighting, we've seen fractures, we've seen bridges being burned that shouldn't be burnt. We saw a lot on full display. And what I knew as a wife, and I'm the same exact way as him. If you are trying to put up fight or flight mode, we're always fight mode. We don't retreat. Charlie would go wherever he needed to go, and I'm the same exact way. Same exact way. And you'll learn that. You'll learn that about me the more that you get to know me. I know I'm new here, but you'll learn. You'll learn. Him and I were not afraid of that. And that's also why the past several months, several weeks, I honored my husband by completing all of his pre-planned fall media tour hits for his book, any commitment he had. I wanted to honor that for him. I wasn't going on a media tour myself. This was for my husband. Because in our household, our word is our bond. And when you give it, you uphold it. So I honored my husband that way. And so what I'm inspired by is the fact that Charlie and I, again, will go wherever we need to go, but so will you. That's why you guys are here. All of you are here because you know that you're sitting saying, I want to do something. So that's why you came here. You came here to meet other people, to know that you're not in this fight alone. You're here for a purpose. God made you for a purpose. Students, raise your hands. Out of those students, drop your hands, put your hand up if you're in high school. Okay, all of you.
What the fuck?
I love it. I love my high schoolers.
That's weird.
Charlie had a very special place in his heart for Club America. He's like, how could...
Wow! Yeah, you gotta be fucking kidding me, right? You have brain damage if you don't see the fucking connection here right now and how fucking bogus that is.
Starting a chapter, joining a chapter, maybe even one day, putting up tent in the quad. We're not afraid. For churchgoers, hold your pastor accountable for biblical...
Child indoctrination much. Grooming much. Same shit, different century much. And then you're gonna yeah, that's why you're so obsessed with pedophiles. Because you do all sorts of fucked up shit to kids.
Don't you dare let anyone tell you you're too young, you're not smart enough, and you're not connected enough. As long as you're a part of Turning Point USA, we will empower you and give whatever you need to be able to make that come to life. Okay? Charlie wasn't just a speaker, he wasn't just a political thinker, he wasn't just a thought leader. Again, he was a bridge, he was a pathway, he was a connection point to generations. He was a pathway and connection point to communication, to inner politics. And he also looked at a generation that has been mocked, that has been dismissed, that has been discouraged, and told them, you matter, your ideas matter, your decisions matter. And he would say this country is still worth defending and still worth sacrificing for. So, like all of you, this is our turning point as well.
It was already getting weird for Charlie to keep doing this shit as like, I think he was like, what, 31 by the time he got assassinated? But his wife is even older. So, I'm pretty sure she's like 34, 35. So for her, it's like even weirder that she's, wait, she's 37? Okay, I didn't want to say inappropriate age gap, but that's crazy.
Especially as we move into 2026. And I want to share with you, off this paper, I'm not going to wing it this one because I want all of you guys to absorb the magnitude of these numbers. The number of student requests.
Also, I'm going to keep it $150. That's kind of, I mean, respect. Respect for her. The inappropriate age gap relationship is a joke, okay? I'm obviously fucking kidding. But the fact that she was able to have pregnancies at like 36, like, cause that it does get complicated after a while, you know what I mean? Like, actually respect. If she is actually 37.
Excuse me, you can have pregnancies into your like 70s actually, depending on the woman and when their menopause starts. You just don't have enough, like, you don't have as much time with your kids. Weird that you'd still perpetuate that myth.
It's post 40s, babe. Am I outdated? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just know the wrong information. I'm giving her respect, by the way. This wasn't me, like, making fun of her or anything like that. Geriatric, can we not get into geriatric pregnancy discourse? I mean, I'm sure with like new medical technology, it's easier. I think still respect. If you're 35 and up, and you're still, you know, you're able to pop out babies like that, that's, you know, I'm gonna give you respect. Brother, you're talking to a 34-year-old who literally fucking destroyed his ankle on the basketball court, and now my upper back is busted. I can't even imagine getting an entire human life out of my pussy, okay? Shut the fuck up. This is not like some sort of fucking feminism discourse. Do you understand? I'm talking about age as someone who feels it. Jesus Christ. I would die if I had a vagina and I was capable of giving birth. I would literally die in the process. Shut the fuck up. Damn, you got Snoke for nothing on this one? A true victim of time, old man? Don't make me show you my fucking foot right now, Chad. If you keep talking shit, if you try to fucking tell me that I'm not being woke enough or some shit right now, I will show you my foot. I swear to God. The rest of the broadcast will just be accompanied by my blue ass toes, okay? And yes, My fucking toes are blue, dude. My toes are blue. I got Smurf toes. The people yearn for the foot. Advanced maternal age. Risk of having a baby after 35. Anyway, I'm sure there's like some kind of woke discourse surrounding this shit, but this wasn't even on some like, you know, women are no longer of use after 35 or whatever. I'm saying this is a 34-year-old man who recently had what under different points in my life would be a minor injury is currently a life-altering one. Okay? That's all I'm saying. I'm 34 and I'm fucking dying. I didn't mean like you can't have a child. I was just giving respect to Erica. Because pregnancy is no joke. It's not. It's a complicated health procedure. No wonder. I mean, there's a reason why we advocate for fucking abortions as a part of bodily autonomy for women. Pregnancies are difficult, especially to carry to term at any age. Can us men get some respect for jorking it? No. All right, let's continue.
To get involved since 9/10. 140,000 plus get involved requests have been submitted since 9/10. 140,000. Total number of students involved. This is involved within Turning Point USA. 1 million plus students involved in Turning Point USA.
The way I feel harassed right now is hard to put into words. Something with biological clock, psychological manipulation. It's not just, it's been the news. It's been watching dead kids in Palestine for 2 years. It's been kind of like a constant, the TikTok, like your biological clock. People trying to make you feel like you're old. They're trying to like either make you decide whether you're gonna have a kid and then force you to have one with somebody you wouldn't have, or try to stop you from having one altogether. It's hard to decide which they're trying to do. Make you think about being a mother constantly. Yeah, what your responsibilities would be. I mean, someone else picking and choosing who they want to be moms. All of that shit is genocidal stuff too. Preventing or forcing births, taking kids away from people is genocide shit. Yeah, play that really quick.
Killing members of the group. 2. Causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. 3. Deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. And 4. Imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. 1. Killing members of the group. 2. Causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. 3. Deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. And 4. Imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. 1. Killing members of the group. 2. Causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. 3. Deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. And 4. Imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group.
We believe in debate because we believe in truth, and we believe in civil discourse because we believe that truth can withstand scrutiny. So that is why we will be launching the Pick Up the Mic initiative and getting back on campus for Prove Me Wrongs and campus tour events this spring and fall of 2026.
That's crazy.
I'm also really excited about everything that we're doing at Turning Point Action. We are locked in and mission focused for both 2026 and 2028. We're investing in states and not just in races. So what I mean by that is we are building the red wall, Arizona, Nevada, New Hampshire. That's going to be very important to us. We're going to ensure that President Trump has Congress for all 4 years. We are going to get my husband's friend, J.D. Vance, elected for 48 in the most resounding way possible. And for our hometown Arizona folks, so you guys imagine.
That's crazy. She getting a little ahead of herself there. JD 28 endorsement already? Damn, girl. Damn. The body's not even cold yet.
Trump is using our service
a lot
members
of chatters I'm reading in the
political
chat are
props
saying they fucking
and as pawns
okay,
in
and I
his
think that's
illegal effort to militarize our nation's cities. Trump is using our service members as political props and as pawns in his illegal effort to militarize our nation's cities. Trump is
House, Arizona, go bigs or go home is where we're at right now mentally. But my husband didn't build this movement so people could feel comfortable. He built this movement so people could feel brave and to be brave with action. So people.
You have to admit they're much better than organizing. They're much better at organizing than the left is no. Yeah. Do you have like 8 billionaire donors that are going to give you like $300-400 million? Because that's how this shit started. What fucking billionaire is going to be like, hey, let me fund the Democratic Socialists of America? There's one guy who is like 100 millionaire or whatever, and he lives in China, and they literally are trying to make it illegal for him to fund any political movement. It's not George Soros. George Soros is a fucking lib. No, I forget the other guy. He's like a former Microsoft dude who now lives in China. And what's his name? They bring his name up all the time. I mean, he is the only person that I know that's like no, not Pierre Omidyar, no. Yeah, he is the PSL guy, I think. Fuck. They bring his name up in Congress all the time. Roy Singh, yes, I think his name, yeah, Roy Singham. Neville Roy Singham. That is the only fucking dude I know that is like actually super, super wealthy. Not a billionaire, if I'm not mistaken. And basically he funds a lot of this stuff. He funds, yeah, he's the only rich dude that I know that actually funds some of these initiatives. And of course, no one is going to apply any scrutiny to Turning Point USA, but if you are a fucking actual radical to a certain degree, and you're funding, Code Pink or any number of different organizations that are anti-capitalist, yeah, Answer, PSL, BT News, People's Forum, Code Pink, etc., right? All of these other organizations that the administration absolutely fucking despises. There's some funding that comes from Neville Roy Singham, and they hate him. And they hate these organizations, and they want to make it illegal for these organizations to exist. They want to make it illegal for him to even fund them. So even the closest you can get to any sort of wealthy, any sort of wealthy organizing, like wealthy people funding your organizational tools on the left, the Congress is unilaterally trying to make it illegal. They've been trying to label him a terrorist. Do you understand? All those orgs except for Co-Pink are all fronts for the PSL. I mean, yeah, you make it seem like this is this is like a indecent organizing taking place or something. Anyway, so yeah, that's it. There are virtually no super wealthy people that are funding these sorts of initiatives. And the ones that do are considered terrorists by the American state. So there it is.
You could see on full display that when you stop talking to people, especially those that you disagree with, you are the one that actually becomes weaker. Let that sink in. So you may not agree with everyone on this stage this weekend, and that's okay. Welcome to America. Charlie would have welcomed that. He believed disagreement was something not to be canceled. It was something to confront with clarity, courage, and grace. And Charlie loved truth way more than conformity. So this weekend for me personally is laced with nostalgia and it's laced with hope. But deeper than that, it's about carrying forward what Charlie built and ultimately what he gave his life for. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. The mission didn't end with Charlie's life. It's being lived out through each.
Would you consider becoming the Frederick Engels of the left? Dog, what are you talking about, dude? Adjusted to the relative wealth that Frederick Engels had at the time for the rest of the society, rest of fucking like German society, rest of British society, rest of European society. Do you think I am the equivalent of a fucking factory owner? I also just gave you an example of a Frederick Engels style individual in contemporary examples, and they literally treat him like he's a fucking terrorist. Engels is a broke boy compared to you. Fact check by Real American Patriots. It's true. Oh my God. One of the saddest parts about having these sorts of conversations with the left is that many people, and I guess this is a byproduct of being, Marxist, socialist, and the like. None of y'all know anything about money. Your understanding of like relative wealth is so silly. It's like almost like a child's understanding of the world. I know some of you are obviously memeing, so it's not serious. But there are also like legitimately children or people who have the understanding of money as a high schooler who think like, yeah, why don't you also out meet, fucking Sheldon Adelson or the Adelson dynasty? Yeah, let me go band for band with Miriam Adelson, dude. How's your Kirk? It fucking sucks. It
Every
hurts so
one of you
bad.
in your own way. Again, it doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter your background. AmFest is not about echo chambers. It's very important to know that because it's about sharpening one another.
How come Bill Gates be rich when I never see him do a money spread or wear Balenci? True. It's because all of his wealth is in his net worth, in his assets, bro. He is not liquid, okay? That's what it is. He's actually a broke boy when you think about it. So is Jeff Bezos. I've never seen Jeff Bezos do a money spread. I've never seen Jeff Bezos in Balenci. True. Me, on the other hand, I have done a money spread, and everybody got mad at me in Hong Kong with Hong Kong dollars, if you recall.
It's about digging deeper into ideas instead of retreating into slogans. And it's about remembering that freedom requires responsibility and truth requires courage. So my challenge to you this weekend is very simple.
Will we see a streamer billionaire by 2035? Yeah, Mr. Beast. Before 2035.
Just attend AmFest. Let it mark you. Let it stretch you. Let it challenge assumptions, strengthen convictions, and maybe even make you a little uncomfortable, because that's where growth happens, in those moments. Let it be another turning point in your life. Another moment where you decide not to drift, not to disengage.
Get it? She should have looked at the camera after that and been like, get it? Let this be a turning point in your life. Title drop.
Not to give in to cynicism, but to stand up boldly, to be brave, to speak clearly, because that is how we are going to honor Charlie.
Okay, it's boring. All right, so the actual meat and potatoes of it all came from Ben Shapiro. Okay? Ben Shapiro had a speech, and I swear to God, even the Bulwark Boys and everybody else is 100% glazing. 100% glazing Ben Shapiro, talking about how Ben Shapiro is the savior, talking about how Ben Shapiro is going to save us, all this shit, okay? And honestly, I feel like it's a op. Ben Shapiro has no emotion whatsoever. And the only reason why he was brought, to this event is because he is, as I like to say, marginally more invested in anti-Semitism and significantly more invested in Israel. Okay? And a big part of the back and forth that took place here, bro, you boring as fuck. Hello, Hassan. I'm a cockroach. I'm here to be on the brain. Hello, Hassan. I'm a cockroach. I'm here to be on the brain. Why is Asman more entertaining? Bro, you boring as fuck. Well, stick around, chatter. You might accidentally learn some stuff. It's also weird that you're calling yourself a cockroach. That's so odd. Anyway, I genuinely don't understand it. It's like, I think people ride with being, like, pathetic. Like, people just basically ride it. They're like, oh, yeah, this is a fucking badge of honor. I'm fucking disgusting. I'm filthy. I shit myself. Yeah, don't you feel owned? That you acknowledge me being fucking gross and weird? You're just cucked. You're, like, mentally cucked. Very odd. Anyway. So, as I was saying, Ben Shapiro obviously is already washed, right? Obviously washed. No emotion. Nobody gives a fuck about what he has to say. Big part of that is because, like, the first wave of people left after Andrew Tate because they were, like, looking for, no more nerdy commentary, but instead, like, less nerdy jock-style commentary to feel cool. That's why they moved into, like, the men's right activist place, right? They moved beyond the Ben Shapiros of the world, like the intellectual dark web, to less intellectual versions of conservative commentary that was just like shitting on targets more openly and stuff. Anyway, but then the final death blow came when Ben Shapiro could not stop eating Israel's dick over and over again, non-fucking stop. He was just like, he was hitting the pro-Israel lines over and over again, and everyone was like, okay, you're done. Fuck you. Now, in the process, he fired Candace Owens, as you guys know, who he knew was a hateful person, definitely was an anti-Semite when Ben Shapiro hired her. But then Ben Shapiro only fired her because she was not only anti-Israel, or not only anti-Semitic, but also anti-Israel. But now Ben Shapiro is back to deliver this amazing speech, and everyone on all the MAGA side, on MAGA Twitter, all the establishment rhinos, who are both pro-Trump and also pro-Israel, were very excited that Ben Shapiro delivered this amazing speech. Let's take a look. Of course, people showed up afterwards as well, asked him some questions about USS Liberty, shit like that. Okay.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's obviously a massive honor to be here at Turning Point USA. It's even more of an honor to follow Erica Kirk, a heroic figure and a true American patriot. I really believe that the best way to judge the goodness of a man is to see the goodness of his wife and his children, and on that measure, Charlie was unsurpassed. Erica and her children are in all of our hearts.
Okay, I can't be watching this in double speed. This motherfucker speaks like he's in double speed all the time.
And of course, this is an incredibly bittersweet moment. It's absolutely bitter because of the murder of our friend Charlie Kirk, an irreplaceable human being. I knew Charlie from the time he was 18 years old, and I watched him build himself into one of the most powerful exponents of conservatism in America, one of the most powerful coalition builders in American history. But it's also sweet to see the number of people who continue to remember Charlie each and every day and to carry on his mission. Well, today, I want to talk about the future of the country. And the future of this country, this amazing country, relies on the future of the conservative movement. It relies on what TPUSA defines as its core mission: freedom, free markets, and limited government.
Wow, this is gonna really bang with all the fucking groypers, dude. Has he discussed Epstein yet? Yes, I did. Yeah, they all the young conservatives are like, oh my God, I love free markets and limited government. That's what I want. No, man, the new meta is dominating ordained enemies, okay? That's what they want. Charlie understood that too. That's the reason why, in an effort not to lose his entire fan base to the fucking groypers, he constantly tried to ramp up the racism.
And most of all, the future of this country relies on truth. This country relies on truth because victory, true, real, lasting victory, cannot be.
Boo, they've also moved on from the truth meta. Truth meta is so outdated. Let's be real. Let's be fucking real, dude. Ain't nobody wants truth. Ain't nobody give a fuck about truth. What they want is lies that humiliate their opponents. Lies, no matter how ridiculous, no matter how silly, makes their opponents feel better, or makes themselves feel better as opposed to their opponents. Okay? Obviously, Ben Shapiro's basically trying to go back to the, excuse me, facts over feelings, please, like that kind of narrative, even though he personally gave up on that shit a long time ago as well. So good luck. Okay? Good luck. I do still see like a bunch of people that, you know, try to relive the glory days of like the debate lording, where they'll be like, you have no argument against, you have no counterfactuals against Asmongold, so you are just simply resorting to an ad hominem. It's like, brother, you are a dying breed. I love seeing you out there in the world trying to do this thing, but most people will just go, shut the fuck up, you nerd, and move on, you know? And it's really funny because they were doing that to this, okay? Asmongold tweeted, I love when he tweets about like understanding women. It's my favorite type of Asmongold tweet because it's so like out of place. Why are people crashing out on the Asian female white male combo in particular, but not so much at the other combos like Asian male white female, Asian female and white female, Asian male white female, etc.? Genuinely curious. To which he responded with, everyone knows why. White women love to vote to bring in immigrants from shitholes around the world. But if Trump started importing millions of ABGs into America, they would form the SS overnight. First of all, ABGs are American. It's an American product. ABGs are an American invention.
I don't know.
ABG means Asian baby girl, okay? That's what ABGs is. It's an American. They are invented in a laboratory in Irvine, California. Okay.
The smell is gone again. The air feels better again. And it's like you can feel something working through the veins of your body and it hurts. Like they just like fucking poisoned me in my room with garbage. Outside. In the middle of the day. Like it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There's something fucking wrong with everybody that hurt me. Why don't you raise your hands and just tell the world that there's something fucking wrong with you? And leave me the fuck alone.
Going to say that Australia could not be where patient zero came from. Okay, but now it's most commonly known. In no way, ABG isn't a gooner term. It's like a TikTok Zoomer term for the most part, I think. Tony K Films came from Asian gang culture. Viet Gang, baby. EDC Vegas is a local. They didn't exist before 2015, 2016. Okay, well, regardless. Okay. ABG is a millennial term law. Okay, well, TikTok Zoomers use it all the time, and they've popularized it. Anyway, I can't believe we're so invested in this. To which I responded with, woman understander has logged on. And yeah, see, ad hominem, because you have literally no counterfactual. Yeah, dude, I should be fucking debating the sincere statements being made here about ABGs. You have no counterfactual. White women would immediately form the SS overnight. What is your counterfactual to the very real argument being presented here that white women only vote with their pussies, and also they only vote to bring in immigrants from shitholes around the world so they can have sexual intercourse with them? And then if Trump all of a sudden magically started importing ABGs from Irvine, California, and maybe Australia into the United States of America, all the white women would get very jealous and very mad and would form the SS. Where is your counterfactual, please? I love seeing stuff like that in the wild. Like, that's my favorite type of person. Like, what do you mean? This is a silly statement. Of course, I'm going to fucking respond to it with silliness. There is no, like, there's no intelligent fact-based analysis being represented here. So, in any case, why was I talking about this? Because this kind of stuff doesn't exist in the wild anymore, and not even in the extremely online circles, because on the right, a lot of people are bored of this shit. They think it's like nerdy, and they want less. I mean, this was already pseudo-intellectual. Ben Shapiro was already serving pseudo-intellectual slop. But people don't even want the pseudo-intellectual slop anymore. They just want, like, anti-intellectual slop. Okay? And that is the reason why Ben Shapiro is losing market share.
Achieved without truth. Victory without truth is victory for a lie, and that is no victory at all. And unity without truth is no unity. It is merely solidarity in falsehood. You see, we live in a chaotic time, in a time when lots of people are asking lots of legitimate questions about the conservative movement. What ought we to think about the relationship between free markets and traditional virtue? How should we craft a pragmatic foreign policy that spreads our interests and upholds our ideals? What governmental means are appropriate?
I swear to God, he's just fucking a libtard now because of the anti-Semitism. Like, he got hit with the full libtard beam. He's like, well, why don't we be woke now, actually, everybody? For years and years, I have cultivated an audience of the most heinous, hateful people on the planet. And then I realized that they also seemingly hate Jews as well. What's going on? Is this what you want? For me to talk like Tucker Carlson, a Jew hater? He's just a lib now. You're just a fucking lib, little bro. You can't fucking keep this shit in containment. You can't just develop. I gotta sit back down. You can't develop an audience whose galvanizing factor, whose entire organizational principle revolves around shitting on black people, brown people, women, gay people, trans people, and then not expect them to also tie that all up and say, yeah, you know, Jews are a part of that too, actually. That's it. If you're anti-woke, you got to expect this, big dog. That's what I don't understand about these like anti-woke, conservative, ultra-Zionist Jewish people, where it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You played a formative role in this kind of hatred being fomented. You did the Great Replacement theories. Did you not open a history book at any point and look at who the Nazis were initially saying were responsible for the Great Replacement? It was your relatives, brother. They always tie it back to the Jews. What the fuck were you thinking? It's crazy. That's why it was always like from afar, I always found it so strange, right? Like I was like, dude, you agree with like every neo-Nazi on like 99% of issues. The one issue though you don't agree on is that they also think you're a part of the out group because you're Jewish and you're responsible for all the woke shit that they hate. A real leopards, how could these leopards eat my face moment for Ben? And they are so actively. Are you a little excited that your enemies of 10 years are going through the same stuff you go through with liberals? I mean, the difference is I've always been oppositional and antagonistic to pro-capitalist liberals who find themselves allies or aligned openly with reactionary Republicans. Ben, on the other hand, has actively fomented his own demise. Like he has literally been a responsible figure. Do you not understand? He's a responsible figure for so many young minds who watched Ben Shapiro dunk on fucking libtards and went, yeah, I want more of that. I'm right wing. I love this shit. And now those guys have advanced. They've moved beyond Ben Shapiro. Okay? They're now saying, no, Ben, you're also woke because you're Jewish and we don't like you either. That never happened. What never happened? You think that Ben Shapiro is not responsible for a decent number of motherfuckers who became right-wing, like far-right and neo-Nazis and shit. That absolutely happened. Brother, Nick Fuentes openly talks about how Mark Levin, who also is in the same vein as Ben Shapiro, an ultra-Zionist, ultra-conservative Jewish commentary person, Nick Fuentes learned about the Great Replacement theory from Mark Levin. He's open about it. He talks about it. He's like, the first time I ever realized that white people were actually being displaced ethnically in this country was when I heard Mark Levin talk about it. David Horowitz, another one of these guys, former Trot, turned into a neocon, massive Islamophobe, thought that as long as our enemy is united, as long as we're all united in hating Muslims, none of these guys will come back and hate on the Jews, I promise. Rest in piss to David Horowitz, that piece of shit. He was a monster who played a major role in developing talent. Candace Owens is one of the most prominent voices in American politics right now. One of those voices that Ben Shapiro is going to call out by name in this speech. Candace Owens was plucked out of irrelevance by David Horowitz first, and then positioned as a voice to be reckoned with on the conservative movement side by the likes of Turning Point USA, and then Ben Shapiro. You think Ben Shapiro didn't know that Candace Owens, who once famously said Hitler just wanted to make Germany great, that Candace Owens wasn't anti-Semitic? No, he did. He knew that. He hired her because she was not only anti-Semitic, but also anti-black, anti-trans, all the good stuff that he wanted. And on top of that, Candace Owens was pro-Israel. That's the only thing Ben Shapiro cared about. And then lo and behold, October 7 comes around. Candace Owens sees the writing on the wall, probably became even more anti-Semitic than she was before, and started being anti-Israel. That is when Ben Shapiro fired Candace Owens. These are the people who propped these figures up. These are the people who melded their minds. Okay?
So the very anti-Semites that are now basically capturing the youth wing of this movement, they all came from this background. They all grew up watching Ben Shapiro and shit. Because people like Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, they thought, I think, you know, Ashkenazi Jews are white. They'll just be considered white in perpetuity. We're always white now. America's founded on Judeo-Christian values. No, the fuck it wasn't, man. America wasn't even founded on Catholic values. What the fuck are you talking about? Judeo-Christian values. That's a new invention, dumbass. Why the fuck would you believe your own lies? It's so crazy. And now they can't even fucking deal with it. They're like, oh, what do we do? 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 How do we fix this? How do we fix this? Yeah, good luck. That's why I get so fucking annoyed with all these like centrists and all these liberals who are trying to present Ben Shapiro as a reasonable voice in MAGA politics. He's not a fucking reasonable voice. This man, just like Charlie Kirk, hated the Civil Rights Act. He's like talked shit about every ethnic minority with the exception of Jews, even though he has talked shit about Jews as well. He says they're bad Jews if they're anti-Israel. He's talked shit about everybody. He is just the same villain as all of these other people. What is it? The one group that he doesn't shit on as much is the Jews. So then it's fine. He's rational. He doesn't shit on Israel. So he's fine. He's rational. What are we talking about? Fuck Israel.
Every time he says it, I have to give my Duterte speech. Duterte, bad guy, criminal court, killed 30,000 fucking people. You're never saying, fuck the Philippines. You're saying, fuck Duterte, fuck his cronies, fuck the people that carried out his orders. The same logic applies to every country on the planet. Fuck the guy in charge. Fuck the people that killed in their name. You don't say fuck the country, where anybody could be born for the next 20 fucking years that has absolutely nothing to do with whatever the fuck the people in charge have done. Even if you wanted to bitch about, like, well, the citizens voted for this. Which, I mean, often in the U.S., I never voted for a war. I was never asked, and I never would have voted for one anyway, if I had been asked. I'm sure it's like that all over the place. So, no, you don't say fuck the general population and anybody that will ever live there forever into the future. Of any country.
He pushes, he's not going to get that prominence back. It's over. It's fucking over. It's done. And he played a formative role in this.
To achieve political ends. All of these questions aren't new, of course. They've been asked for as long as human beings have been talking about politics.
Like, anyone that doesn't match Ben's current commentary with Ben's past performance is a fucking loser-ass moron, okay? I'm sorry. You will see a lot of liberals that recognize how fucking insane it is, right? They recognize how psychotic the right has gotten, okay? And they will be desperate to lean into the likes of Ben Shapiro. That's why he's going on CNN right now. Libs will welcome him with open arms. They'll be like, oh, well, at least he's reasonable. Fuck no, he's not. If you say Charlie Kirk is doing politics the right way, I need you to tell me exactly which one of Charlie's choice moments you agree with. If you say Ben Shapiro is a reasonable voice in the MAGA conservative sphere, I need you to sit there and tell me in great detail, which statement do you agree with? What of the fucking worldviews that Ben Shapiro presents on a daily fucking basis do you agree with? There is no such thing
I hate these motherfuckers that turn around and go, no, you don't understand. This is the Liz Cheney dynamic all over again. You don't understand. These guys they're doing politics the right way. We should have simple disagreements. It's like, bitch, what do you mean simple disagreement? What is the fucking simple disagreement here? We're not talking about which milkshake flavor is the best tasting. We're talking about entire swaths of the population being worthy of dignity or not, being worthy of existing on U.S. soil or not. That's not a fucking simple disagreement. Maybe for you it is, from your position of privilege, but I don't agree with that. I don't think this is just a simple fucking disagreement. I'm not going to let all of that shit slide because now Ben Shapiro is railing against the conspiratorial right because he is the champion of anti-Semitism. Is that the only thing we are supposed to care about? And this, I mean this seriously, okay? I know that a lot of right-wingers will be like, oh, well, I'm anti-woke for everybody, and then all of a sudden they're telling me I can't be anti-woke against Jews, right? And then that's how they become anti-Semitic or more anti-Semitic than they already were. They're like, what do you mean? We're anti-woke. Jews are also a part of the anti-woke coalition, right? They're also an acceptable target. But on the liberal side, we can't just fucking make this new calculation where we are also doing the same thing that the fucking Donald Trump administration is doing, right? On the left side, not even just the liberal side, but like on the left side as well. This is something that I see where people are like, well, okay, he rails against anti-Semitism. Okay, is that the only fucking form of bigotry that's not available? Or that's not acceptable? What are you talking about? Oh, wow, he rails against anti-Semitism. Oh, great, okay. The fuck? Whose calculation is this? If you're going to actually stand against bigotry and harmful opinions and conspiratorial thinking, you got to do it unconditionally. There's no fucking, well, he's shitty to trans people, he's shitty to black people, but at least he's good to Jews. The fuck? What is this? No, but we need coalition so bad right now? No, not from Ben Shapiro. Yeah, you bring the fucking, dude, yeah. You bring the scorpion into your own home if you want to be stung. And before you know it, like, this is the problem. Because before you know it, when you're like, oh, these guys are on our side, these guys are, no, he's not. On what? On what grounds is he on your side? What is a fucking part of Ben Shapiro's worldview that aligns with yours that you think makes you an ally? What? I need you to tell me. Seriously.
Of years. And over the course of this conference, you'll hear a lot of opinions on a lot of these questions. I have my own perspectives on them, of course. You can hear them every single day on my show. My fundamental values have been the same for 25 years. Peace through strength on foreign policy. Traditional values on social policy. Free markets with regard to economics. But today, I want to talk about something even more important. How to discern those attempting to speak truth from frauds and grifters. Because something is new. An informational environment.
He doesn't even agree that January 6th was an attempted coup him out so much for his lib allyship. That's what I mean. He doesn't even do that shit. Because he's like, he is a Trump dick rider. He is a conservative grifter through and through. The only area that he does not grift on is Israel, okay? That's it. That's his only sincere moment. He will say whatever needs to be said in order to maintain in order to still play a formative role in shaping conservative minds and doing conservative propaganda. There's only one place that he doesn't budge on, and that's fucking Israel. That's it. Just like with Tommy Lord, it was her one sincere moment where she talked about women's bodily autonomy, and people punished her for it, right? So that's it for Ben. Israel's the only thing he won't actually recalculate on.
Rife with both opportunity and chaos. Opportunity because
that's anti-Semitic, Hassan. Yeah. True. That's funny. Yeah, saying Ben Shapiro is incredibly pro-Israel and that's the only sincerely held belief he has is definitely a very
You're right. How did I arrive at this conclusion, I wonder? Probably because he's Jewish, right? Because he wears the yarmulke, right? That must be the reason why I'm saying this. And not because I'm very familiar with his commentary for the past fucking 12 years.
See, media gatekeepers are no longer in charge of what we see and what we hear. And chaos, because an anarchic informational environment means we actually have to be smart in how we assess the information and arguments that we hear. Why does that matter? Well, because today the conservative movement is in serious danger. It is in danger, not just from a left that all too frequently excuses everything up to and including murder. The conservative movement is also in danger from charlatans who claim to speak in the name of principle, but actually traffic in conspiracism and dishonesty, who offer nothing but bile and despair, who seek to undermine fundamental principles of conservatism by championing enervation and grievance. These people are frauds, they are grifters, and they do not deserve your time. And they are something worse than that, a danger to the only movement capable of stopping the left from wrecking the country wholesale. So today, I want to discuss 5 obligations that people who speak to you on matters of importance have to you. I want to speak to you about our duties. Our first duty is truth. We owe you the truth. That means we should not mislead you. It means we shouldn't hide the ball.
Like, this is so funny. Yeah, dude, I know. I love truthful conservatism. Like, who are you talking about? You're at the Turning Point USA Ameri conference, dude. Amerifest, or whatever the fuck it's called. What do you mean? Oh, wow, we have a duty to the truth. Who's he talking to? Like, just because you're saying that doesn't mean you engage in it. Isn't this just making the divisions worse? Isn't this just making the divide deeper by woke scolding? Exactly, which is why I love it. Yeah. No, this is, don't interrupt your opponents when they're making a mistake, right? Yes, Turning Point USA was already in a unique predicament with all of the anti-Israel youngsters that are also anti-Semitic. And the conservative battlefronts, right? On the conservative front lines. But now that Charlie's gone too, and all these fucking vultures are eating one another alive to try to take advantage of the power vacuum. You have, on the one hand, Tucker Carlson, who is leading the charge alongside Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes on the anti-Israel front on the conservative side. And then you have the Ben Shapiro and the Barry Weisses of the world. Who the fuck do you think people are gonna pick? Ben Shapiro has never had like a real independent career that wasn't funded by the Wilkes brothers, okay? The Texas oil barons, who are insane evangelical Zionists themselves. The difference between someone like Nick Fuentes and even Clandis is that, like, they've been able to make a name for themselves on their own, and although I despise their repugnant worldviews and disagree with them vehemently on every single issue, ultimately, there is something there as far as like their personality-driven content that captivates people, right? I'd go so far as to say the same thing about even Asmongold. Like, there's something there that people are tuning in for. With Ben, there's not really much. You're just nerdily rehashing American Enterprise Institute talking points, and you're not even doing a good job with it, and now that your funding is drying out, people don't want to hear from you. People don't like what they're hearing from you.
We shouldn't be deliberately obscure about what we're telling you. We have an obligation to clarity and to honesty. This means that we actually have to be clear in the language that we use. We should not traffic in generality. We should not say things like, they shot Charlie, without specifying whom we mean by they. The person who allegedly shot Charlie Kirk, and whom all the evidence points at, all of it, is a gay, trans-loving furry.
he's trying to do it. He's trying to bring it back to be like, yeah, remember gay people?
The person who allegedly shot Charlie Kirk, and whom all the evidence points at, all of it, is a gay, trans-loving furry.
Yeah, he big, man. No, it's Israel, bro. Fuck it. Actually, you know what? He negatively polarized me. I think it's Israel that did it. I'm a clandestine operator. Maybe it was Israel, Ben. Oh, you don't like it? Oh, is that anti-Semitism? Is that anti-Semitism? See, do you see what I mean? Do you see what I'm explaining here? Like, you can't on the one hand be like, I'm a truth lover. I'm a truth lover. I care about the truth. And then try to make a snide remark about Candace Owens while fucking simultaneously your commentary on this issue is just like transphobia, homophobia induced, you know what I mean? Like, what are you fucking doing? What are you doing? It's not working. It's not gonna work. Okay?
If we are going to target ideological movements, we should talk about the fact that the radical trans movement treats all those who oppose it as existential threats. Or if we're going to talk about the Democratic Party making room for the radical trans movement and echoing its inflammatory rhetoric, well, we should talk about that. Those are specific problems, and they require specific responses. When people say they shot Charlie, however, they are instead trafficking in vagary that results in increased hatred without proposing any effective response. They are fostering despair and rage, and that makes things worse. We must also be honest about what people say and do, regardless of what that means coalitionally. It is the job of politicians to build coalitions. It's the job of those of us who try to shape public opinion to hold politicians to account and to hold them accountable to our values. We must not let fear of audience deter us from telling the truth. We must not let fear of other hosts deter us from telling the truth. So, for example, if Candace Owens decides to spend every day since the murder of Charlie Kirk if Candace Owens decides to spend every day since the murder of Charlie Kirk casting aspersions at TPUSA and the people who work here, who worked with Charlie every single day, his best friends, to cast aspersions at Mikey McCoy and Andrew Colvin and Blake Neff and Tyler Boyer, and yes, at Erica Kirk, and to imply or outright claim complicity in a cover-up over Charlie's murder, to spew absolutely baseless trash implicating everyone from French intelligence to Mossad to members of TPUSA in Charlie's murder or a cover-up in that murder, then we, as people with a microphone, have a moral obligation to call that out by name. Erica Kirk and TPUSA never should have been put in the position to have to defend themselves against such specious and evil attacks, particularly in a time of mourning. And the people who refuse to condemn Candace's truly vicious attacks, and some of them are speaking here, are guilty of cowardice. Yes, cowardice. The fact that they have said nothing while Candace has been vomiting all
It's in 1.25 speed, but it's fine.
sorts of hideous and conspiratorial nonsense into the public square for years is just as cowardly. Second, because we owe you the truth, we owe you the duty to speak out of principle, not personal feeling. It should not matter whether we despise someone or whether we love someone. The question is what they say and what they do, and whether those things are morally decent or not. On a political level, do they foster freedom, justice, and prosperity? On a personal level, do they treat others as they would wish to be treated? Personal feeling is not a substitute for moral judgment. To take again the Candace Owens situation as an example, friendship with public figures.
Yeah, they brought. If this is their big gun, I think it's cooked. But like, this was getting tremendous praise, tremendous amounts of praise from fucking from basically every like establishment Republican rhino. There's also a Tucker Carlson thing too, though. There's a Tucker Carlson speech here as well.
Who say or do evil things is not an excuse for silence on the matter. Politics is not the sisterhood of the traveling pants. Politics is about principle, and if you are willing to sacrifice basic truth and simple principle in favor of emotional solidarity, you have betrayed your fundamental duty to the American people. First off, I should break the omerta here and just be a little bit clear. The notion that people in our industry are close friends, like we all take holiday breaks with each other and go to each other's kids' graduations and stuff, it's generally untrue. Some people do that, most of us don't. We see each other at conferences and we talk on the phone and all the rest. We're business colleagues. But even if it were true that other public figures were our best friends, our very best friends, that does not relieve us of our duty to speak out of principle and not to cover up evil or shy away from addressing it out of friendship. So no, Tucker Carlson, it is not an excuse to go silent on Candace's targeting of TPUSA. Or to mirror her bullshit lines of questioning because you love Candace personally. The same holds true of Megyn Kelly, a person I consider a friend, characterizing Candace as a young mother and thus shying away from condemning her actions or filming about them. That is a non-starter. Meghan Markle is a young mother. Ilhan Omar is a young mother. That doesn't matter. And when Megyn said this week, quote, "My goal and my job here is to try to understand, yes."
Charlie hated Ben and loved Tucker. No, Charlie loved Tucker Carlson, but Charlie also did like Ben Shapiro as well. I think a lot of people that think that Charlie Kirk didn't like Ben Shapiro are wrong. No, Charlie Kirk invited Ben Shapiro to Turning Pro USA conferences all the fucking time. And also, the thing is, like, I think he saw Tucker Carlson as like an entry point into the fucking whole. He saw Tucker Carlson as like as a person that could hold the coalition together to a certain degree. Tucker said that BLM was anti-white racism, the rest was acceptable, I guess. Yeah, that's why it's so funny. These guys literally align on so many insane points, right? Let's fast forward through all this important policy and statements at double half speed. Wait, what? It's just like all of this stuff that's coming out now with people where they're trying to talk about this shit, where they're like, oh, we need truth, we can't do lies anymore. What is happening here? Blah blah blah. All this shit. Like, that's all you've been doing. That's all you've done. I mean, I love the infighting. I love watching the right-wing infighting taking place. But also, they did this. You made the shit sandwich, brother.
Where Candace is coming from on this, and says she sees no purpose in inserting herself, quote, into this on one side. That is a moral and logical absurdity. There is only one moral side here.
Like, okay, you understand what I'm trying to say, right? Everything that right-wingers say about Jews, they say about every other minority group. Ben also says everything right-wingers say about Jews, but about every other minority group, just not about Jews. And that's the problem here. Like, so when he says, like, we need truth, we need justice, we need intellectual honesty and decency, just for the Jews. Like, that's it. That's what he's saying. And the reality is, a lot of people read it as such. A lot of people read it as such, where they go, what do you mean, Ben? It's ironic that he is the inconsistent person, because reactionary rhetoric at its maximalist position is of course going to put Jews in the crosshairs as well. It's going to consider Jews to be not this like untouchable group of people, but instead just another marginalized identity that we should be able to shit on. That's it. That's it.
Erica Kirk's side. You know, the side of the widow with 2 children, whose husband was shot live on camera in front of all of us. Friendship with a person accusing TPUSA of a cover-up of Charlie's murder is no excuse for cowardice. Third, and relatedly, we have a duty to take responsibility for what we say and do. If we hire awful people, we're responsible for that. I have some experience there.
Yeah, the reality is he's happy to continue blaming black people for their situation and hating Muslims all for being terrorists, hating all undocumented migrants. That's what he considers to be decent and honest debate. Just don't talk that way about Israel. Exactly. And it's so funny because, like, he even is fine with anti-Semitism. His own words, by the way, not even mine. I'm not even saying this, but, like, in his own words, he's fine with anti-Semites as long as they're pro-Israel. He has said it in the past. He has said it over and over again. He's shown that with his actions. He's shown that by hiring Candace Owens. So even on the anti-Semitism front, he's like somewhat agnostic. And he also, one could even argue, entertains anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic tendencies and anti-Semitic statements all the time. When he talks about how, like, Jews who are anti-genocide are actually capos or bad Jews or whatever the fuck. Right? Wrong. Ben Shapiro's a Jewish supremacist? Sure. If you're a Zionist, yes, of course. Ben Shapiro is a Jewish supremacist. That is true. That's Zionism. A part of Zionism is Jewish supremacy. Having said that, he also will actively shit on anti-Zionist Jews. He will routinely say Jews who are not pro-Israel are bad Jews. They're capos. They're collaborators. They're worthless.
As you might suspect. That means that if we offer a guest for your viewing, we owe it to you to ask the kinds of questions that actually get at the truth. If we agree with the guest, that's fine, but we should own it. So, for example, if you host a Hitler apologist, Nazi-loving, anti-American piece of refuse like Nick Fuentes...
Wait, hold on. Once again, it goes back to what I was talking about. I thought it was no cancel culture, right? I thought it was spirited debate. Why do you want to cancel Nick Fuentes? You can't conduct yourself this way. You can't create an entire fucking career off of how you despise cancel culture, how you fucking hate the moralists, and then go to the seminar where all of the anti-cancel culture warriors get together and talk about how you need cancel culture. Do you see? Do you see?
You know, the Nick Fuentes who said that the Vice President of the United States is a, quote, fat gay race traitor married to a Jeet. The person who said that Charlie Kirk was a, quote, retarded idiot. The person who said, and pardon my language here, it's his quote, that he, quote, took Turning Point USA and fucked it, and that's why it's filled with groypers. If you have that person on your show and you proceed...
Yo, low-key. Also, this is low-key part of the reason why... this is part of the reason why Nick Fuentes is more popular than Ben Shapiro is. Like, it is that kind of language. It is the things that he says. That is precisely the reason why he has a real audience, whereas Ben Shapiro's audience is just like completely propped up by whatever fucking mainstream help he's getting currently. Stereotypically classless decision by Ben Shapiro to use Charlie Kirk's stage to disavow half of the American right by name. Jews like Barry Weiss think it's courageous chutzpah. Everyone else rightly sees it as tasteless and self-serving. The reign of Zio-conservatism is over. I hate all these motherfuckers so much.
To glaze him, you ought to own it. There is a reason that Charlie Kirk despised Nick Fuentes, and indeed even chided Dinesh D'Souza for debate.
So you like Nick more than Ben? That's actually bad. He's a fucking Nazi, Hassan. Did I ever say that? I support neither of them. Was there ever a moment? What led you to arrive at that conclusion? Perhaps the reason why you want to arrive at that conclusion is because it suits whatever kind of fucking dumbass liberal purpose you have in your mind. That's a whole separate sentence that you conducted, you crafted. I don't fuck with any right-winger, okay? I do not fuck with reactionary people with reactionary attitudes. I don't fuck with right-wingers at all. As a matter of fact, the reason why I get mad at liberals is because of their endless fucking grace and charity for right-wingers. The rational ones, like Ben Shapiro. Okay? Unless it's my woke king Mitt Romney, who wants to tax the wealthy like himself.
This kind of stuff doesn't work, by the way. I mean, maybe it works for like really stupid people, I guess, in your orbit, where you could just be like, Hassan likes Nick Fuentes more than he likes Ben Shapiro. Like, that's not the case. I think Ben is a Zionist, but Nick is a Nazi. First of all, Ben Shapiro and Nick Fuentes believe in the exact same shit, dumbass, with one exception. And it's not one that fucking favors Ben Shapiro, okay? Ben Shapiro and Nick Fuentes believe in the exact same shit. The only difference is Ben thinks it's the liberal pedophilic elite, you know, the globalists or whatever the fuck, and Nick thinks it's Jews, okay? That's the difference. It's a pretty significant difference, but the major point of contention that they have between them is not even around that, okay? It's around Israel. And the reality of the matter is, because of how fucking distorted people's attitude is towards what Israel is doing, Nick Fuentes is actually on the side where he's able to fucking craft a more moralistic and more reasonable argument as a fucking neo-Nazi against the fucking state of Israel that's doing the current Holocaust. He is a denier and defender of the previous Holocaust and wants to do it again to the Jews and to everyone else, okay? Ben Shapiro is currently justifying the Holocaust that took place for the past 2 fucking years. So they're completely aligned on pretty much everything. But the only reason why Nick Fuentes is growing in prominence is because he can present himself as being on the right side of this pivotal fucking issue. And the faster people realize that and immediately stop fucking defending Israel and immediately come to terms with the fucking reality that's taking place in front of their eyes, the faster we can rid ourselves of this fucking Nazi scourge. But because Democrats refuse to reckon with this reality and think that there is like some kind of marginal, incremental change position that they can take, some kind of liberal Zionist position that'll be enough, they keep losing to the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world. They keep losing to the Nick Fuenteses of the world. Okay? I support neither. Both are Nazis and Nick is way more dangerous. No one watches Ben anymore at Lamau. Yes, Nick can fool idiots by blaming everything on Jews and Israel, becoming obsessed with Israel's idiocy. Both are bad, Nick and Ben both. Yeah, okay, so you do fucking agree with me. What the hell are you talking about? Okay, now you understand my fear. Now you understand my argument. Now you understand my resentment. Okay? Ben Shapiro, for decades with his commentary, basically made it impossible for there not to be a Nick Fuentes, okay? He designed this environment so that there was a fucking inevitability of Nick Fuentes. And now that Nick Fuentes is here, you still turn around and you go, well, one's a Nazi, the other one's a liberal Zionist. First of all, he's not a liberal Zionist, okay? Or not just like a regular Zionist. He's a conservative ultra-Zionist, okay? What is this? Ethan is gone and saying he should oppose Nazis like Asman, not support them, except Asman. I was the same. Asman, Nazis are way worse and more hateful and harmful than you. You think Asman Gold opposes Nazis? The fuck are you talking about? Brother, you might be... Also, fuck Asman Gold, who's a Nazi too. Okay, good. That's a big change from the 2 days, but... But that's it. I'm anti-pedophilia and anti-Nazi unconditionally, okay? Whichever form that may take, I am going to be against it. Do you understand? It's probably, it's you know, the biggest reason for why I have so many fucking haters. I know we've lost our fucking minds in American discourse in 2025. But, you know, those are some key principles here that I will always abide by.
He knew that Nick Fuentes is an evil troll and that building him up is an act of moral imbecility. And that is precisely what Tucker Carlson did. He built Nick Fuentes up. And he ought to take responsibility for that, just as he ought to take responsibility for glazing pornographer and alleged sex trafficker Andrew Tate, or for mainstreaming fake historian and pseudo-Nazi apologist Daryl Cooper as America's best and most honest popular historian. Hosts are indeed responsible for the guests.
You do understand, like, now he's making a fucking platforming argument. This is just a woke argument, you know? He's just woke. Ben Shapiro is just woke. And from the perspective of a right-wing audience, he's just anti-woke for everybody and woke for Jews, okay? This is not going to work. There is no intellectual honesty or consistency here unless you do think everyone else should be that way, where you can, every other marginalized identity is fair play, fair game, you can do whatever the fuck you want, except for Jewish people.
They choose and the questions they ask those guests. Fourth.
Chat Police Islam has been diagnosed with high blood pressure, and every inflammatory troll in chat is a direct attack on his arteries. This is a leftist-based practice, harm reduction, and stop stress posting. What the fuck?
Because we have a duty to truth, we also have a duty to provide you with evidence of the claims that we make. Emotive accusations, conspiracy theories, and just guessing questions, that's lazy and stupid and misleading. None of them are a substitute for truth. None of them are a substitute for evidence. So, when Candace Owens says, I don't know, but I know, that is retarded. And we are all more retarded for having heard it. When Steve Bannon, for example, accuses his foreign policy opponents of loyalty to a foreign country, he's not actually making an argument based in evidence.
I don't need to listen to you talk anymore. I'll come back later when Hassan is watching something else. Oh my god, fuck whatever that is. I don't feel good. I feel like I just got... I don't know how to put it, because if you say beaten up, it gives, like, a different impression. I just got attacked for, like, 2 hours. It stopped. Again. With, like, someone essentially, like, gassing my room with a garbage smell. I don't feel good. I feel exceptionally tired again. It, like, drains the life out of you. There's a traffic camera outside. I've said it a million goddamn times. There's a million goddamn ways to find out who's been fucking with you. They deliberately, like, oh, are you just a shitty little cult that lives across the street? I mean, like, can we just simplify this or something? I mean, like, I'm sick of saying the same crap every day. You're wasting my fucking life by abusing me. And then making me have to, like, address being abused every day. It's worthless. I've already explained, like, I think someone's just fucking with me to create, like, a false fucking situation. The cop car. I have to back up. There's a stupid plane sound. Everything's just like some asshole with a fucking soundboard. Police car. Central City concern. Take a step forward, it's suddenly missing, and all you get is a garbage thing. These fuckers here all the time in their, like, mansion facility. You got the traffic cameras at the top of the fucking poles. You fuckers are giving me a goddamn headache. I mean, they're, like, literally murdering me. And then you say, well, I guess you should call the FBI. And it's like, those people aren't smart enough by now. They haven't been tipped off by now. They're not trying to help you by now without you even asking them to. Bullshit. Like, something about this was completely just, like, allowed to happen. All the different possible ways that they're fucking with you. Whether it's down below in the tunnels, it's coming up this goddamn pipe. It's some fucking psychopath just banging on a garbage can outside. Make your own movie of yourself. You have the technology. Bunch of fucking liars. Doing nothing every single goddamn day. The whole city of Portland is not whatever the fuck is going on between Tooch and Burnside. They're gonna fucking dictate everybody's goddamn life. And it's like an inch long. Now it smells like garbage again. Yeah, they turned your entire life into some kind of fucking story for themselves. Well, they're liars. Who cares what the fuck they're trying to do? Overpaid, overpowered, psycho assholes. It's been 5 years of shit for you to be, like, stepping up and doing the right thing. And I just keep getting fucked with every goddamn day. Like, you invaded the building I live in itself. No one's fucking helping me. Everybody's acting like shit's a joke. No, they did something to enrich themselves. They shouldn't get shit. And it's making me fucking sick. It's terrorism. Yeah, it's like they like being demented assholes. It makes them feel good about, because no one liked them anyway. Get the fuck out of my room! Get a mom or something. Get out of my room! I'm not your fucking mother. Psycho fascist fuckwad with nothing else to do.
Good evening, I'm Jeff Bennett. On the Navaz is away. On the NewsHour tonight, the Justice Department releases a long-awaited trove of documents related to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. What we know about the Brown University shooting suspect who was found dead after a days-long manhunt. And we speak with a relative of an immigrant with no criminal record who's being detained by immigration authorities.
She did exactly what the government asked her to do. She graduated from high school. She got a valid work permit, social security card. She pays taxes. She had gainful employment.
Wow, doesn't that sound fucking familiar? And then someone held you under duress for 5 years and now you're disabled. And then they want to make it a joke. Have them say it again.
Late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. What we know about the Brown University shooting suspect who was found dead after a days-long manhunt. And we speak with a relative of an immigrant with no criminal record who's being detained by immigration authorities.
She did exactly what the government asked her to do. She graduated from high school. She got a valid work permit, social security card. She pays taxes. She had gainful employment.
Relative of an immigrant with no criminal record who's being detained by immigration authorities.
She did exactly what the government asked her to do. She graduated from high school. She got a valid work permit, social security card. She pays taxes. She had gainful employment.
I was born in Massachusetts, but the same thing. She graduated from high school. Yeah. Photos, albums, graduation. Where's the one that's literally like... Graduated from high school. What's the next one? I did all the things. No criminal record. Now you got this trellis shit. That's the closest you get to a criminal record, I guess. It's not criminal, but... They definitely got my name attached to some law bullshit now. Why aren't all the yearbooks up here? Yeah, really.
And we speak with a relative of an immigrant with no criminal record.
This isn't really a criminal record, but like this is like the only law-based record there is. It's like they ruined your life this way. Yep. Gonna make sure you never have anywhere to live again. Fuck you. The information on here isn't even right. Damn it. Stop. Stop. No. Fuck. There was more anyway. There shouldn't be any unpaid trial fees. I got waivers, and I have proof of that too. They're making my room smell like trash again, by the way. Just like on and off. What, are you gonna do it all fucking night? Get a life, asshole! There goes a siren. Why won't you let us fuck you for not just helping me without me asking you to? Goddamn bullshit. Do your job you get paid for, fuckhead. stupid goddamn monsters. No, we want to just prove it right, that everyone was right when they said the police were stupid.
Who's being detained by immigration authorities.
She did exactly what the government asked her to do. She graduated from high school.
Graduated from high school. Got a work permit, OLCC. That's as much of a work permit as you could, like... I mean, do you want to count your goddamn degree as a permit? Got a marijuana worker's permit. Again, I was born in Massachusetts, but I'm like an equivalent, like, I did what I was fucking supposed. I graduated from high school. I've got a fucking bachelor's degree and a CELTA. How much some ass fuck really screwed up your life? Oh my fucking god, I hate this. There's like way more pictures. I don't know why it like stops right there. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. It's just like some kind of like fucking coding error. There, perfect. Fucking bullshit.
She got a valid work permit, social security card. She
Obviously born with
pays taxes.
Yep.
She had gainful employment.
Yep. The easiest way to show that. LinkedIn.
Major funding for the PBS NewsHour has been provided by friends of the NewsHour, including Jim and Nancy Bildner, and the Robert and Virginia Schiller Foundation. The Judy and Peter Bloom Kovler Foundation, upholding freedom by strengthening democracies at home and abroad. And with the ongoing support of these individuals and institutions. And friends of the NewsHour. This program was made possible by the contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to the NewsHour. Late this afternoon, the Justice Department began releasing thousands of pages of files and communications related to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The new documents include photos, call logs, court filings, and more, many of them heavily redacted. Our White House correspondent Liz Landers joins us now. So Liz, you and our team have been reading through these documents. What stands out so far?
Well, there are thousands of documents that have been released today. That is far fewer than the Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche had said, and he has said that this will take a few weeks. What we have noticed in today's release so far is that this is divided into several different categories, and much of the new information is coming out in what is the Department of Justice disclosure category. We've seen a redacted masseuse list with more than 250 names, all redacted. We've also found at least one of the grand jury documents in there from the United States versus Epstein. That is key. We have not gone through that document yet, but that is certainly something we will be looking through. There are tons and tons of photos in this. That's really what is the bulk of what's in today's release. Many more pictures showing Jeffrey Epstein and his lifestyle, including his former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. Also, former President Bill Clinton is in a number of these photographs. He's traveling with Ghislaine Maxwell in one of these pictures. They appear to be in a foreign country. There's another photograph of them in a swimming pool. And then there are another several photos of the former president with women whose faces are redacted. Now, former President Clinton is not accused of any wrongdoing in relation to this Jeffrey Epstein relationship that he had. And these are undated photos, so we don't know when these pictures were taken of the former president. A lot of what we have seen today, two separate images, include sexual innuendo or nudity. And I just want to note, too, that these photographs that we've seen today do not seem to include any photos that we've seen so far of President Trump.
The DOJ, as you said, makes clear that what they're releasing today is really only part of what they have, more to come. Still, what appears to be missing so far?
So we're looking for more of those grand jury documents. Of course, that is key and what many members of Congress have been asking for over the last few months and years. We're also looking for any more photos, and there's also a list that some members of Congress say may have some of these sexual accusers who may have committed acts against these minors. There's potentially a list in there of those names. So those are the things we're looking for. But the Attorney General Todd Blanche said that they are going to release these in the coming weeks. So we will be going through this for potentially weeks to come.
And Liz, as you well know, the Trump administration initially resisted releasing these documents. Remind us how we got here.
Well, the document released today comes after Congress passed and President Trump signed a law last month requiring the Department of Justice to do so. One of the chief authors of that law is Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna, and he joins me now for reaction to what has been released today. Congressman, we just got these documents within really the last 2 hours or so. Reading through this, what is your reaction to what you're seeing in these documents and what is not in this release today?
Well, the survivors were approaching today with such anticipation. And I'm glad that they're actually releasing documents and abiding in that way with the law. But I've got to tell you, I've been very disappointed with the partial nature of the release. One of the documents, 119 pages that a federal judge wanted released, is totally redacted, and there's no explanation for the redactions. We also so far have not seen the draft indictment and a lot of the witness interview memorandum that would explain who were the rich and powerful men who abused these young girls or who were at parties covering up the abuse. So there needs to be a lot more that comes out in the days ahead.
Congressman, speaking of those rich and powerful men, your co-author of this bill, Congressman Thomas Massie, said yesterday that at least 20 men accused of sex crimes are in the FBI's Epstein files. He said that if this release doesn't include some of the names, that is an indication that not all of the documents have been produced. Do you agree with that? And do you know when and if that list will come out?
Well, he's right, and he's right because he's talked to the survivors. He's talked to the survivors' lawyers. They have said that there are other rich and powerful men who engaged in either sex trafficking, paying for sex with young women, engaged in abuse of underage girls, or were present at parties where 16 and 15-year-olds were paraded and just watched and did nothing. And the reality is that's what we want to see come out. It's less about is this a full release, and more about the quality of the release and what are they hiding? Why are they not having the draft indictment come out, which has some of this information or leads to this information? Why are they not having the witness interviews come out? That is really what the survivors want out and what we're after.
The Department of Justice has said in the letter sent over to members of Congress like yourself that they have not fully released this. We know that at this point. What can you do to compel the Department of Justice to release all of these documents? What are the tools at your disposal?
Well, first of all, the Department of Justice 6 months ago, Pam Bondi said they've released everything, and now they're releasing more. So obviously, they weren't being fully truthful back then. We can have the survivors come back to the Hill to demand a release. That is what moved public opinion in the first place. That is what got my bill to pass the House and the Senate and the President to sign it. There are also, of course, punitive actions. Thomas Massie and I have discussed possible impeachment, referrals for criminal prosecution if people aren't complying. And folks say, well, how is the Justice Department going to prosecute their own people? But there's no statute of limitations that runs out when we have a new administration. We could hold them in inherent contempt of Congress. So there are many options, including lawsuits against the Department of Justice. But my interest is not punitive against Pam Bondi or the Deputy Attorney General or Trump. It's to find justice, and I want to see what we can do to get more of these documents released.
Congressman, have you spoken with any of these survivors or the families today, and how are they feeling about this?
I've spoken with some over email and text. I've spoken with the lawyers of the survivors. They were very hopeful for today. They finally felt seen and heard when the Congress passed this bill. And I don't know what the reaction is of the survivors themselves, but I'll tell you, the survivors' lawyers believe that there's a lot more that needs to be released, that maybe this is an initial step, but a lot of the key information has still not been released, and we expect that that will be released in the coming weeks. What I hope would happen is that Pam Bondi or the Deputy Attorney General would stand in front of the American public, explain what they're redacting and why, explain the timeline for what they're going to release, and be transparent in answering people's questions.
Congressman, we just have a few seconds left, but you and your Democratic colleagues on the House Oversight Committee have been, I think, cherry picking and releasing some of the images from the Epstein estate. Is that fair to the survivors?
Well, I believe they all need to come out. And now I'm not involved in the disclosure of those. It's Ranking Member Garcia, and he's done a good job. But my recommendation is just release all of them as soon as the lawyers go through them. I don't think they should be cherry-picked.
Congressman Ro Khanna, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Investigators are still trying to determine the motive behind two shootings in New England after the suspect was found dead last night. The man who killed 2 students and injured 9 others at Brown University was located in New Hampshire last night following a manhunt that ended at a storage facility. Authorities say they were able to link the suspect to the murder of an MIT professor who was killed in his home on Monday. Stephanie Sy has the story of how one anonymous tipster changed the course of the investigation.
And he blew this case right open. He blew it open.
A crucial tip from a Reddit user is what led authorities to identify the gunman, bringing almost a week-long manhunt to an end.
Law enforcement collectively believe that we have the person, that we identified the person, and that person is dead, and that he was the person responsible not only for the Brown shootings, but for the Brookline shooting.
The Reddit tipster, known as John, told police he had suspicions about a man he'd seen hours before the shooting in the bathroom of the engineering building. We now know that man was Claudio Valente. John said he followed Valente after he left the building to a Nissan with a Florida plate. The police affidavit describes an interaction between them, with John describing Valente as saying, "I don't know you from nobody. Why are you harassing me?" Hours later, the suspect killed 2 students and wounded 9 others in the engineering building. John's observations enabled police to tap into a network of over 70 street cameras around the city.
When you do crack it, you crack it. And that person led us to the car, which led us to the name, which led us to the photographs of that individual renting the car, which matched the clothing of our shooter here in Providence, that matched the satchel.
Police tracked Valente to a storage unit in Salem, New Hampshire, where he was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He'd been dead for 2 days. Because the same Nissan was spotted near another crime scene, Valente is now believed to have also killed MIT professor Nuno Loureiro, who was murdered in his home in Brookline, Massachusetts on Monday, 2 days after the mass shooting at Brown. Loureiro is believed to have crossed paths with the suspect when he lived in Portugal. His former employer, the Institute for Plasmas and Nuclear Fusion, described Loureiro as a brilliant scientist whose presence, quote, profoundly marked all those who worked and interacted with him. Between 1995 and 2000, Loureiro attended the same academic program as Valente, a Portuguese national. Valente then moved to the U.S. on a student visa in 2000, enrolling as a physics graduate student at Brown. He took a leave of absence from the program in 2001 and never graduated, becoming a legal permanent resident of the U.S. in 2017 and living in Miami. Hours after details of the suspect came out, President Trump said he would pause the diversity visa program Valente used to gain permanent residence. Meanwhile, after a week of heightened fears in the Brown community,
our Providence neighbors can finally breathe a little easier.
Nothing can really fully bring closure to the lives that have been shattered over the past week, but this may allow our community to move forward.
The tipster is being hailed as a hero and is, according to Fox News, homeless. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Stephanie Sy.
And we're joined now by Juliette Kayyem, a former assistant secretary at the Department of Homeland Security. She's now at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So what more should we know about this tip from someone using the social media platform Reddit that ultimately led authorities to the suspect?
Yeah, so Reddit is a platform where lots of casual information is shared, where people learn how to fix a car, to really bad information. It's not generally this is very unique. Let's just put it that way. What we know now is that there is a person. His name basically we didn't know who he was. His name is now described as John, who encounters the killer at a couple of moments, a couple hours before the mass shooting, encounters him near the car. This John decides to go on Reddit and urge the police to follow the license plate, says this guy was suspicious, we had an interaction, but doesn't immediately tell the police. We later learned that John had been at Brown a long time ago. He's been homeless for some period of time and may not have felt confident going to the police. The police then see this, and there's some sort of interaction between this John and the police. That is what the police say sort of blew the case open in a good way, because now they had a car and a license plate. And then by then they could figure out who had rented the car, who he might be. They had a name, they had a picture, and things unfolded very quickly after that.
This case is as unusual as it is unsettling and tragic. What stands out to you about it?
I mean, there's two pieces. I mean, one is just the nature of the killings. One is a mass shooting in a classroom, sort of anonymous. It's sort of against an institution. And the other one, against the MIT professor, looks more like a targeted assassination. In this world of sort of this kind of violence, you don't get the same person generally doing those two types of things. So this was odd, and I will admit that I was skeptical about the connection between the two killings until you started to see more evidence. I think the second piece is, of course, just the grudge factor. We don't have a specific motive, but I think rational people can look at the evidence we now have and see that Brown was a university that he did not succeed at, and the MIT professor was a person who he overlapped with in Portugal. And then he became an MIT professor and heralded as a leader in nuclear theory, while the suspect or the killer sort of did not amount to much. That length of the grudge, sort of that long-term stewing, where no one around him is sort of capturing that is very, very odd, as you said, sort of disconcerting. And I don't know how one stops that. Like, I mean, it's just, it was a multi-decade grudge.
We know that President Trump has suspended the green card lottery program that allowed the suspect to come into the country. What do you make of that move?
So Valente came in two different periods in his life. One was as a student visa when he attended Brown. He then leaves. There's then these like gap years. But then in 2017, so remember, this is during the Trump first administration, he comes in on what's called a diversity visa. It's just a way of describing visas that are given to people who lawfully can enter this country, stay in this country, have no criminal record, but they're from countries that we don't get a lot of representation from, Portugal being one of them. Valente had no criminal record, no suspicion of incitement, nothing. I mean, he's just sort of, as I said, he's just sort of stewing there. One could, as the Trump administration often does, sort of make a sweeping generalization about this status visa or other status visa. But I have to admit, the Trump administration has been against the diversity visa for a long time. This may just be a sort of way for them to have a compelling reason to close the program down. It's a relatively small program, but of course, closing down this immigration program doesn't really solve violence in this country. I mean, in other words, just because you're reacting to one incident with one immigrant, we have lots of violence in this country committed by all sorts of people, and I'm not sure that a sweeping condemnation of everyone who comes on the diversity visa program is a solution to the violence problem. It is, for the Trump administration, a solution to their long-term animosity towards this visa program and most lawful immigration programs.
Juliette Kayyem, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
In the day's other headlines, 9 pharmaceutical companies have agreed to cut prices on many of the drugs they sell to Medicaid and sell them directly to consumers through the Trump Rx website. In exchange, the companies will get tariff relief and other benefits. The companies include Merck, Gilead, GlaxoSmithKline, and Bristol Myers Squibb. All told, 14 companies have now reached such deals with the Trump administration to cut prices. Today's announcement does not address the high cost of most drugs already under private insurance or Medicare, and it stops short of legally forcing drug makers to cut prices. But President Trump says it'll help bring costs more in line with those in other wealthy nations.
For years, would just say, no, 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 it's medicine got more expensive for us. It would say, they said, nope, you can't sell it in this country. Let the United States pay. And we had other presidents, all of them, said, okay, we'll pay. So we were subsidizing the entire world. We're not doing it anymore.
Separately, Mr. Trump said in a phone interview late yesterday with NBC News that he sees no need to repeal the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, as he's tried to do for years. He said he believes Americans will simply stop using it, saying, quote, Obamacare would just repeal itself. In Syria, the U.S. military has launched what an official tells the NewsHour is the largest series of strikes against the Islamic State in years. Jets, helicopters, and artillery targeted dozens of targets in central Syria. It follows President Trump's promise to retaliate for the deaths of 2 National Guard soldiers and a civilian interpreter who were killed by the group last week. In a post on social media, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said, quote, "This is not the beginning of a war. It is a declaration of vengeance." They were the first U.S. fatalities in Syria since the fall of the dictator Bashar al-Assad last year. Russian President Vladimir Putin says his country remains committed to achieving its military goals in Ukraine if Kyiv does not agree to its demands for peace. Speaking at his marathon annual news conference in Moscow, Putin boasted about recent battlefield successes, saying his forces have seized the strategic initiative. And while he acknowledged that there are certain signals that Ukraine is ready to talk, Putin insisted that Russia's territorial demands and other conditions be met.
We do not consider ourselves responsible for the loss of life because it was not us who started this war. The ball is entirely in the court of our Western opponents, primarily the leaders of the Kiev regime, and in this case, first and foremost, their European sponsors. We are ready for both negotiations and a peaceful resolution to the conflict.
Russia started the war when it invaded Ukraine in 2022. Meantime, at his own year-end news conference today, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said there was still a ways to go in negotiating an end to the war in Ukraine. He also signaled that he may join talks in Miami this weekend between U.S. and Russian officials. The Australian government announced a gun buyback plan today following the mass shooting in Sydney last weekend.
The terrible events at Bondi show we need to get more guns off our streets.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says the program is expected to take hundreds of thousands of firearms out of circulation in Australia. The government also said it's considering new gun ownership laws, though that could face opposition from conservative lawmakers there. And officials announced that Sunday will be a national day of reflection. They're calling for a moment of silence to mark exactly 1 week since the attack that killed 15 people during a Hanukkah festival. Here in this country, a Wisconsin judge is facing up to 5 years in prison after being found guilty of obstruction for helping an immigrant evade federal authorities. But the jury cleared Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Hannah Dugan of the misdemeanor charge of concealing an individual to prevent arrest. According to court filings, Dugan led a 31-year-old Mexican immigrant out of her courtroom through a private back door in April. Wisconsin state Republicans are calling for her to be impeached. Democrats say the administration is trying to make an example of her. A nearly century-old bridge spanning the Mississippi River was demolished today. As onlookers watched from the shore, the Black Hawk Bridge crashed down into the water below. The bridge was built in 1931 and connected Wisconsin to Iowa. It was called the Singing Bridge because its metal grate flooring made a humming noise when cars drove over it. It had fallen into disrepair and was closed to vehicle traffic back in October. Construction on a new bridge nearby is underway, and that's set to open in 2027. Wall Street ended the week on solid footing thanks to gains in some AI-related stocks. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added nearly 200 points on the day. The Nasdaq jumped more than 300 points. The S&P 500 also ended firmly in positive territory. Still to come on the NewsHour, a Vanity Fair reporter discusses the White House pushback against his article about Trump's chief of staff and other top advisors. And David Brooks and Jonathan Capehart weigh in on the week's political headlines.
This is the PBS NewsHour from the David M. Rubenstein.
answered also ended firmly in positive territory. Still to come on the NewsHour, a Vanity Fair reporter discusses the White House pushback against his article about Trump's chief of staff and other top advisors. And David Brooks and Jonathan Capehart weigh in on the week's political headlines.
This is the PBS NewsHour from the David M. Rubenstein Studio at WETA in Washington, and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.
It was the story that consumed Washington this week. The Vanity Fair profile by journalist Chris Whipple built on 11 on-the-record interviews with President Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, offering a rare and revealing look inside Mr. Trump's second term. Through Whipple's reporting, Wiles delivers unusually blunt assessments of senior Trump officials, criticizing Attorney General Pam Bondi's handling of the Epstein files, describing Vice President J.D. Vance as a conspiracy theorist, and offering a striking characterization of her boss, the president. Chris Whipple joins us now. Thanks for being here.
Good to be with you.
So as I said, your reporting is built on 11 on-the-record interviews with Susie Wiles over the course of a year. How did you build that level of trust and access?
Yeah, really stunning because, as you know, senior White House officials hardly ever speak to you on the record. I wrote a book about Joe Biden, so I know something about that. But from the get-go, in January, almost a year ago, she was remarkably unguarded and open and on the record, except when we agreed mutually otherwise, and those were very few and far between. Again, I found it stunning that I was able to talk to her for the next almost a whole year, and we talked through every crisis from the blanket pardon of the insurrectionists on January 6th to the bombardment of boats in the Caribbean in recent days. So it's not only a profile of Susie Wiles, but a remarkable inside look at Trump 2.0.
As many people know by now, she's quoted as saying that Trump has an alcoholic's personality, called the vice president, as we said, a conspiracy theorist, referred to the OMB director, Russell Vought, as a right-wing absolute zealot, said that Attorney General Pam Bondi's initial handling of the Epstein files, that Bondi, in her words, completely whiffed. As you say, she was unguarded and candid in her assessments. She's describing senior Trump officials the way that many Trump critics describe them. The question is why?
Yeah, and it's a great question. And I think that really a couple of points I would make here. Number one, I take her at her word that she felt that Trump had been maligned and unfairly treated, characterized during his first term. She was bound and determined to see that change in any way she could if she could find a fair hearing. And I think she thought she would get it from me. Number two, I think there's something else going on here. I think that when you work in a bubble like the Trump White House, and you're surrounded all day by like-minded acolytes, reading more or less from the same playbook, I think at a certain point in this insular world, you forget that some of the things you say might sound crazy outside that perimeter. I mean, on a normal planet. And I just think that this is the way they talk among themselves often. J.D. Vance has confirmed that he's a conspiracy theorist. Donald Trump has confirmed that he has an alcoholic's personality. So there you go.
You also asked her about the president's health, his erratic disposition, his falling asleep in meetings, his verbal abuse of women reporters. What did she say about that?
Well, again, absolutely extraordinary. On the subject of the president's health, she insists, she's adamant that he's okay, he's fine. She said, my health is good, his health is great. I said, what about falling asleep in these cabinet meetings? She said, no, he's just closing his eyes. And then I pressed her on the president's increasing, all these episodes of verbally abusing women. And she said, and I specifically asked her about what he said to the Bloomberg reporter when he said, quiet piggy. And her response to that was, he's a counterpuncher. And increasingly, these days, women are doing the punching.
After the piece ran, Wiles referred to it as a hit piece. What do you make of that? Was she speaking to you, believing that she was off the record when she was really on the record?
Never. She understood full well from the get-go that we were on the record. And in fact, she commented on a number of times that we were on the record and confirmed it. So, what this is a realization on their part that she was speaking out of school and in trouble for what she had said. They had to clean it up. And what's remarkable is that they have failed, the White House has failed to challenge a single assertion in the piece or a quotation. And what that tells you is that the story is rock solid.
She also said, according to your reporting, that she hasn't always agreed with the president's policy decisions, that she was initially aghast at the shuttering of USAID. She questioned the blanket pardons of all the January 6th defendants, as you mentioned earlier, disagreed on the administration's deportation process. So by what measure does she judge her own effectiveness if she has been on the losing side of all of these key debates?
Yeah, it's a great question, and the answer is complicated. The answer is that she seems to want to have it both ways. I think she wants to be regarded the way some of the great White House chiefs in history have been regarded: Leon Panetta, James A. Baker III, Baker under Reagan, Panetta under Clinton. These were people who could tell the president hard truths. And yet, at the same time, she frankly admits that the battles she has with Donald Trump are over little things, not the big constitutional issues that a White House chief sometimes has to call the president on. So I also found that there's a fascinating kind of journey that she takes. In the beginning, she seems to be trying to tap the brakes on some of Donald Trump's successes, and now it seems to me she's pretty much all in.
What does your reporting and your conversations with her reveal about the current dynamics within the Trump White House?
Well, I think the current dynamics are really interesting, and obviously the reaction to my piece in Vanity Fair, it's 9,500 words. It's there's plenty of context. It's nuanced. I think it's quite fair, and I praise Susie Wiles for many of her abilities. But what's clear is that, as unhappy as they may be about this piece and the things that she said, she's not going to the doghouse or the woodshed. Her bond with Donald Trump is solid, and that's one of the fascinating things about this piece. And it goes all the way back to 2015 when they first met, and Trump was so impressed that she was the daughter of Pat Summerall, the famous sportscaster. She has a real magic with Donald Trump.
Chris Whipple, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Among the tens of thousands arrested in the Trump administration's immigration crackdown are many convicted of violent crimes, but nearly 3/4 of those held by ICE have no criminal record. That's according to Track Reports, a nonpartisan data-gathering platform. Amna Nawaz spoke recently with the family of one young woman who has been detained by federal immigration officers in North Carolina.
Last month, 23-year-old Fatima Isela Velasquez Antonio was arrested by Border Patrol at her worksite in Raleigh, North Carolina. This is the video showing that moment, shot by a family friend. Despite having a legal work permit and no criminal record, she remains in ICE custody in Lumpkin, Georgia today. After both of her parents died, Fatima left Honduras at the age of 14, entering the U.S. as an unaccompanied minor and seeking asylum. Her family is choosing not to do interviews due to fears over their own immigration status, but they've asked Gene Smith, her aunt's boyfriend, to speak on their behalf. He joins us now. Gene, welcome to the NewsHour. Thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So it's been over a month now that Fatima has been held. When is the last time you or anyone in the family was able to talk with her? And what can you tell us about how she's doing?
I was able to speak to her over the weekend, and she was in good spirits. I know she's been in contact today with her boyfriend and other family members. And she's just, she's worried. She's locked up. She's confined, and she wants to come home. She doesn't really know her legal future and what's going to happen tomorrow. So she's really concerned. And for the most part, she's worried about her family. She wants them to be happy and to know that she knows that they're on her side and they're praying for her. And she's just supporting them, which is ironic, since she's the one that needs our support.
Let me ask you about the day that she was arrested back in November, because we have seen federal agents showing up at a number of work sites across the country in different places. On the day that she went to work, was there any reason to think that the same thing would happen to Fatima?
No, not on my side, no. But that morning, her aunt, which is my girlfriend, she owns a business, and she said, Gene, some of my employees can't make it. I can't work today. I said, why not? She said they have a fear of get arrested by ICE. And I nonchalantly just blew it off, said, if you can't let anyone dictate how you run your business. And a few hours later, 5-6 hours, she gets a call that says Fatima's locked up. Now it just hits me broad right in the face. So I feel really, really ashamed and apologetic. And what she said to her family that day, she said, crying, she was locked up, not that day, but when they finally was able to talk to her, she told them, she said, I'm glad it was me and not you.
Knowing her as you do, why do you think she said that?
Because she's a good kid and she loves her family. And if anyone could wear the brunt of this administration's messed up policies, I think, she would be willing to take that bullet for her family.
Tell us a little bit more about her so we know who we're talking about here. As I mentioned, she came here when she was just 14. She'd lost both of her parents. Why did she come to the U.S.? And tell us about the life that she's built in the years she's been here.
Well, as you know, she lost her mom when she was around 12. I think her mom died of cancer. Her dad was murdered by gang members around the age of 14. She sought asylum here in the United States, to the only country that she felt secure in, and to her family, which resides in North Carolina. And since she's been here, she came as an unaccompanied minor, as you said. She's created a life for herself. She did exactly what the government asked her to do. She graduated from high school. She got a valid work permit, Social Security card. She pays taxes. She had gainful employment. And she just bought a home with her boyfriend a few months ago. That is a heck of a feat at age 23. And so she's just a good kid. She loves her family, her nieces and nephews, her cousins. And she just enjoys life. She's a blessing to be around. And I think if anyone deserves a pass, it's this young lady.
And I just want to be clear on this point, Gene. Our understanding is that she doesn't have any criminal record. She does have a couple of traffic violations, which would be civil infractions in the years. Is that correct? And if so, what is your understanding of why she was arrested and why she's still being held?
That is correct. She has no criminal history whatsoever, other than minor traffic violations. ICE came to North Carolina under a sweep starting in Charlotte, and the next day they were in Wake County. She got arrested in Cary. They interviewed her that day. I think the video shows that she has a valid work permit. That day she grabbed the wrong one, but she does have a valid one. And they ruled that because her paperwork was not correct right then, they're going to detain her. Since then, we have tried to get her released on bond. Unfortunately, the Trump administration has ruled that detainees can't get a bond right now.
Gene, I have to ask you, because I know from your previous conversations with my colleague that you have supported, and I understand you still support President Donald Trump, that you did vote for him. This is someone who campaigned on mass deportations, who said anyone who is here illegally will be removed and deported. And though she is seeking asylum, Fatima did enter the country illegally. So I guess the question is, did you not expect that someone like her would be targeted by this administration?
I can't fathom that his policies were targeted at someone such as her. And unfortunately for me, and probably for a lot of Americans, we really don't realize the extent of what the immigration and how that system is broken. And I certainly didn't. Now that it's hitting close to home, I see how broken that system is. I did vote for Trump, and I still support Trump. I understand we have safe borders, sure. And I reach out to Trump right now, President Trump, if you
What? Do you guys like not making sense? Like it's fun for you or something?
you listen to this and you see this, please release her. She is a good kid. I still support you, and I support your policies. I think our immigration system is flawed and it's broken, and we need to fix that because the only one that's penalizing is young ladies such as her that deserve to be home with their family.
Gina, I just have to ask, in saying you support his policies, the administration will say this is their policy. It is to arrest and deport anyone who is here without legal status. What would you say to that?
I believe our law says that she's not to be detained while she is waiting adjudication of her case. She came as a minor. She hasn't committed a crime. She did everything the U.S. government asked of her, and I don't think that Trump meant for that to take place for her to be deported. I do support his policies. I just don't support this one.
Let me just put to you what the Department of Homeland Security shared with us when we asked them about her case. They said in part that she admitted to officers that she was in the country illegally. They say all of her claims will be heard by a judge. She will receive full due process. They also blame the Biden administration for using discretion to, they say, indefinitely delay many illegal aliens, including her case. They also say, Jean, that she has a choice to either leave voluntarily or be arrested and deported. Are you worried that she may end up deported back to Honduras?
I have faith in God, and I believe that God is in control. She's not a flight risk. She's not a danger to society. So I am hopeful that she will be granted her day in court and be released on bond, and so that she can remain with her family and the community during the adjudication process so that she can become a United States citizen. So I don't think she will be deported. I hope and pray she does not. If she did get deported, that would be a travesty in my opinion.
That is Jean Smith speaking on behalf of the family of Fatima Isela Velasquez Antonio. Jean, thank you for your time.
Thank you for yours. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
This week, President Trump attempted to address his sinking approval ratings on the economy. For analysis on that and more, we turn now to Brooks and Capehart. That's New York Times columnist.
It's so fucking stupid.
Don't look at your phone. Look at me in the eye.
Wow, he really dunked on the fucking Groyper, dude.
Come on, you said that I'm a tool of the Jews, so look at me in the eye like a man.
I'm talking about the Talmud. I mean, do you support Israel?
Yes, of course I do. Yes.
Okay, that's good for you. But that's another thing. You're an advocate for the military and
I am not trying to watch the Get Show. I guess that's it for today. I'm fucking exhausted. I feel assaulted. The deliberate level of like conspiracy in my own home. All of the fucking bullshit. Fuck this. Universal human rights. Everything is bullshit.